Chapter 20. Due to her change in attitude, Lu Xiaoyun and Zhao Ying stood aside, afraid to disturb Lin Jin's spirit energy recovery. Meanwhile, Lin Jin wasn't really out of spirit energy. He was just slightly tired. After tossing a large fox into the pond dozens of times in a row, his arms would go numb and his spirit energy would be depleted. And that was to help the red fox open its acupoints. This red fox was a rare beast, so most people wouldn't be able to tell its evolution method. However, Lin Jin had the Museum of Deadly Beasts. He could count the number of evolution methods in there with one hand. Lin Jin chose the easiest one, and that was to use the red fox's hidden bloodline to help it evolve. This red fox's main bloodline was the ancient Flame Mountain fox. Other than that, it also had a trace of 3 sunflower water fox bloodline. This was extremely difficult to detect, so Lu Xiaoyan wouldn't know. But here in the museum, any pet beast secrets were no longer secrets. All this while this red fox had been nurtured with the fire attribute. Although it grew stronger, it had subconsciously suppressed the other branch bloodline in its body. Thus, in order to evolve, it was unknowingly increasing the obstacles and difficulties it faced. To put it bluntly, with the previous method, forget 3 years, this red fox wouldn't be able to evolve even after another 3 years because it was using the wrong method. It was like go to a certain place. If one had chosen the wrong path, it would be futile no matter how hard they tried. Lin Jin used his spirit energy to help strengthen and activate the 3 sunflower water fox bloodline. He did this by tossing the fox into the water to absorb the water spirit energy. Water and fire were supposed to be incompatible, but after Lin Jin opened up the fox's specific acupoints, the situation changed. In addition, the red fox had accumulated a lot of experience. Lin Jin could tell from the museum's stone tablet that this little guy had eaten a treasure like the fire Lingji in its early years. It could be considered a fortuitous encounter. If it didn't have the 3 sunflower water fox bloodline, this red fox would have evolved back then. It was a pity that because of this, the fortuitous encounter didn't produce the desired effect. It was also because there was no one to help it balance the yin and yang in its body. Otherwise, it would have evolved right away. Now, Lin Jin had taken advantage of the situation and used that ridiculous method to help the fox evolve. In the eyes of the onlookers, Lin Jin was unfathomable. After a long while, Lin Jin got up. Zhao Ying immediately pulled Lu Xiaoyan forward. "I've lost. I shouldn't have listened to the rumors and disrespected appraiser Lin." Lu Xiaoyan had a straightforward personality and was able to let go of things as well. She had been prejudiced against Lin Jin before, but now that she could tell that Lin Jin was truly talented, she didn't dare to be rude anymore. Moreover, she wasn't a fool. Just the fact that he had helped her pet beast evolve was already a huge favor. Lin Jin smiled and waved his hand. "It's fine. I don't care about fame. It's just a small matter." Lu Xiaoyun was immediately awed by his nonchalant demeanor. Her admiration for Appraiser Gao and Appraiser Lin deepened. She wondered who was stronger between Appraiser Gao and Appraiser Lin. Perhaps it was Appraiser Lin Jin. After all, not even Appraiser Gao Jiang was capable of helping his pet beast evolve. Lin Jin extended his hand. "Can I have the beast soul now?" Lu Xiaoyan came back to her senses and hurriedly offered it with both hands. With this, the ingredients needed to refine the 6 Suns Beast Soul Pill were complete. Zhao Ying recalled that she had yet to be affiliated with an official beast appraiser, so she asked tentatively, "Appraiser Lin, I'd like to be affiliated with you and learn beast appraising." Lin Jin was aware of the rule of apprentices being affiliated with an official beast appraiser. It was also a necessary step for apprentices to go through. After all, in order to become an official beast appraiser in the future, a mentor must be recommended. Come to think of it, most apprentices in the association were affiliated with the chief or another official beast appraiser. Lin Jin didn't have a single apprentice under him. Lin Jin was obviously more than willing to be affiliated with someone. After all, being affiliated with an apprentice under his name came with tangible benefits. Not only would his salary increase, but he could also receive some resources. Also, if he wanted to be promoted to a rank 2 beast appraiser in the future, he would have to teach some impressive students. Hence, Lin Jin nodded. Zhao Ying was overjoyed. Suddenly, Lu Xiaoyun said, Appraiser Lin, I want to learn from you too. Knowing that Lin Jin wasn't the kind of fame-seeking person the rumors made him out to be, that he had a noble character, and that he was far more capable than Appraiser Gao, Lu Xiaoyun made her decision. More importantly, she heard from Zhao Ying that Appraiser Lin didn't even have a single student affiliated with him. How could an expert like him be buried under rumors? Lu Xiaoyun was a hot-tempered person who abhorred evil. In a fit of anger, she decided to switch allegiance from Appraiser Gao to Appraiser Lin. Now that someone was willing to be affiliated with him, Lin Jin had no reason to reject them. Hence, he immediately brought them to the association to register. Zhao Ying was simple since she didn't have a mentor affiliated with her. Lu Xiaoyun was slightly more troublesome, but it was just a matter of going through the formalities. With this, Lin Jin finally had a student affiliated with him. In the future, whether it was beast appraisals or patient visits, he could bring his students along. His affiliated students could do simple tasks for him. Just like now, Lin Jin arranged for them to look for a furnace for pelletization. Appraiser Lin, you want to perform pelletization? Lu Xiaoyun was shocked. She couldn't be blamed. Pelletization was a difficult task, and most people in the association only knew how to boil pellets. Even Appraiser Gao didn't seem to know how to do it. Only the rank 2 chief could occasionally do it. That's right. I want to perform pelletization. Can you guys give me a furnace? Lin Jin was a poor man, so it was impossible for him to have a furnace. Zhao Ying didn't have one either. Lu Xiaoyun had an impressive older brother, so this task fell to her. My brother has a furnace. I'll get it for him. Lu Xiaoyun didn't refuse. Now that Lin Jin was her mentor, there was no reason for her to turn down her mentor's orders. Lu Xiaoyun left and returned quickly. Sure enough, she brought back a pill furnace. Most furnaces were expensive mainly because of the precious materials used. Lin Jin noted Lu Xiaoyun's generosity in his heart. After a moment's thought, he wrote an evaluation report and handed it to Lu Xiaoyun. Is this Xiao Hu's evaluation report? Lu Xiaoyun took a look and was instantly shocked. The more she read, the more excited she became. When she was done, she bowed to Lin Jin. Because this beast evaluation report was too important. Not only did the report state the Red Fox's 2 hidden bloodlines, but it also listed out some of its latent problems. As long as they were repaired, the Red Fox's potential would rise even further. Other than that, there was also a prescription attached. It could be said that this evaluation report was so detailed that even if Chief Wang Ji were to write it himself, he wouldn't be able to do it. Lu Xiaoyun knew the value of this evaluation report. It was more than 10 times more valuable than her beast soul. So, in the end, she was the one who got the better end of the deal. From now on, she was truly convinced by Lin Jin. Now that he had a furnace, Lin Jin headed straight for a secluded area in the association. There was an underground cave here. Following a wave of heat, a stone door appeared before him. An elderly man was sitting in front of the door. Beside him was a gigantic fire lizard pet beast. Lin Jin bowed to the elderly man. Elder Emo. There were 3 elders in Maple City's Beast Appraisal Association, and Elder Emo was one of them. He guarded an extremely important earth-fire spirit vein. The elderly man lifted his eyelids slightly and nodded. Lin Jin, are you here to borrow the earth fire to refine your pet beast? It was easier for a fire attribute pet beast to cultivate near a place with dense fire spirit energy. In the past, Lin Jin would often come here, but Xiao Hua was a disappointment. He only managed to absorb a small amount of fire spirit energy each time. Lin Jin shook his head. I'm here to borrow the earth fire for pelletization. Pelletization? Elder Emo opened his eyes and took a closer look. Sure enough, he saw a furnace in Lin Jin's hand. Displeased, he said, do you know that pelletization is the same as beast evaluation? It's not something that can be mastered in a day. You haven't even fully understood the method of pelletization, and you're here to do it? What nonsense! Lin Jin remained respectful. I'm just trying to learn. Please allow me to do so, Elder Mo. Those who had just learned pelletization would indeed give it a try. It wasn't that they really wanted to do pelletization, but but they just wanted to familiarize themselves with the steps and the nature of the fire. Hence, Elder Mo nodded without another word. His pet beast, the gigantic fire lizard, swept the stone door open with a sweep of its tail. Lin Jin quickly thanked Elder Mo before leading Xiao Hua inside. Once Lin Jin was inside, Elder Mo mumbled, "He has a good personality, but his aptitude is too low. His pet beast isn't even worth mentioning. What a pity." Chapter 21. There was only one Earth Fire Spirit vein beneath Maple City. Although the grade of the Earth Fire Spirit vein was mediocre, it was still Earth Fire, a type of spirit fire that was more powerful than common fire. Spirit fire was required for pelletization. The art of pelletization had a long history. During the ancient era of immortals, spirit energy was abundant. Cultivators didn't need pet beasts. They only needed their own bodies to be able to go to heaven and earth, control wind, rain, thunder, and the 5 elements. However, the era of immortals came to an end. With the depletion of spirit energy, it was difficult for cultivators to improve their physical bodies. There were only a handful of cultivators who managed to achieve energy training, let alone foundation building, core formation, and even nascent soul. Those were things of legend, things that were unreachable in the distant past. Now that it was the era of spirit beasts, cultivators could sign blood contracts with spirit beasts, control them, and raise their ranks. This was a remarkable feat as the art of pelletization developed. It gradually became specialized for pet beasts to consume. Behind the stone door was a natural cave. The deeper he went, the hotter it got, until he saw a pool of lava flowing and flames surging. This was the Earth Fire Spirit vein. No one had come here at this time, so no one would disturb him. Lin Jin immediately took out the pellet furnace and began refining the 6 Sun Beast Soul Pill. In fact, Lin Jin wasn't even familiar with pill brewing, let alone pelletization. Without the Museum of Deadly Beasts, he wouldn't even know how to use spirit energy to absorb earth fire. But with the Museum of Deadly Beasts, that was no longer a problem. Xiao Hua, play by the side. Don't disturb me, Lin Jin instructed before following the museum's instructions to activate the pellet furnace. Under the influence of spirit energy, the furnace floated over and hovered above the fire pool. In just a few moments, the furnace was glowing red. Then, Lin Jin tossed in various herbs. As expected of one of the spirit fires, earth fire was of decent quality, and the pellet furnace Lu Xiaoyan had given him was of decent quality as well. The herbs immediately turned into colorful spirit energy that swirled within the furnace. It was a beautiful sight. A moment later, Lin Jin followed the instructions and tossed in the last ingredient, the 6 sungrass. With that, a dense fire spirit energy gushed out. The 6 sungrass didn't melt immediately after entering the furnace. Lin Jin wasn't in a hurry because the museum clearly stated that in order to melt the 6 sungrass, he had to use the fire gathering seal to gather the flames from the earth fire spirit vein and pour into the furnace for refinement. Hence, Lin Jin performed the fire gathering seal with both hands. At this moment, the cave shook slightly. At the same time, outside the stone door, Elder Mo abruptly opened his eyes. His pet beast, the fire lizard, became agitated and growled. "What's going on? Why is the earth fire spirit vein moving?" Elder Mo's expression shifted as he turned to his pet beast. The fire lizard let out a roar and stomped its foot on the ground. A wave of fire runes rippled outwards, reaching deep into the ground. The strange movement disappeared. Elder Mo heaved a sigh of relief. Then, he thought of something and muttered to himself. Could it be that the legendary thing underground is moving? No, this is no small matter. I have to report it. Inside the stone door, beside the fire pond, Lin Jin was elated to see the 6 sun grass melting. All he had to do now was toss in the beast soul and cast the pellet condensation spell. The beast soul was thrown into the cauldron together with the beast soul talisman. The talisman turned into ashes in an instant, leaving the beast soul shining with a soft light inside the cauldron. Slowly, the beast soul fused with the colorful air masses around it. Moments later, Lin Jin invoked the pill condensation incantation. The fire spirit energy, medicinal energy, and beast soul in the furnace fused into one, and a pill gradually appeared. It's done. Lin Jin immediately retrieved the cauldron, opened it, and took out the pill. The six-sun beast soul pill was finally in his hands. They say pelletization is difficult, but I don't think it's that hard. Lin Jin bragged. He knew that the entire pelletization process was based on the museum's instructions. If he were to follow the instructions strictly, he would have to blame himself for being stupid if something went wrong again. With the six-sun beast soul pill in hand, he could give it to Xiao Hua when he got back. It should be enough for him to evolve. After tidying up the cauldron, Lin Jin headed outside. Just then, someone entered the room. This man was in his 20s and had a one-ring beast emblem on his sleeve. He was clearly an official beast appraiser. He had a haughty demeanor and looked down on everyone else. He walked past Lin Jin as if he didn't see him. He was obviously here to absorb the fire spirit energy as well. Lin Jin recognized this man. Just like him, he was an official beast appraiser of the association. His name was Gao Jiang. However, since the man was ignoring him, there was no need for Lin Jin to be snubbed. So, Lin Jin lifted his head and walked past him. Outside, Elder Mo wasn't around, but the fire lizard was. This fire lizard was huge. Even when it was lying down, it was still half a man's height. Its body length, including its tail, was at least 20 feet long. A gentle bump from it could topple a house. Majestic and domineering. As Lin Jin passed by, he suddenly had an idea and stood still. The Museum of Deadly Beasts had a reward system. If one recorded a certain number of beasts, they would be rewarded. In addition, recording rare beasts or higher-ranked pet beasts would also be rewarded. Previously, he had recorded pet beasts with hidden bloodlines. If he reached a certain number, he would definitely receive other rewards. Wasn't this an opportunity? Elder Mo's pet beast was obviously extraordinary. It was at least rank 3 and above. If he could record it in the Museum of Deadly Beasts, would he trigger a reward? Once this idea popped up, Lin Jin couldn't suppress it. Lin Jin knew that Elder Mo's absence was an opportunity. Otherwise, he wouldn't even stand a chance. At this, he took a deep breath. Then, he gathered his courage and reached out to touch it. Don't move. You mustn't move. Lin Jin grumbled. This fire lizard's head was the size of a millstone. Even when it was lying down, it still looked intimidating. Lin Jin was even more afraid that this beast would suddenly pounce and bite his hand off. But the courageous would be stuffed to death while the cowardly would starve to death. In the end, Lin Jin pressed his hand on the fire lizard's head. The beast's eyes immediately opened. With flames burning in them, Lin Jin quickly retracted his hand. Lowering his head, he asked, "Why don't I see Elder Mo?" Apprehension. Fear. Fortunately, the fire lizard didn't pursue the matter. It merely glared at Lin Jin before going back to sleep. Lin Jin hurried out, his body drenched in cold sweat. Who would have thought this guy would actually reach rank 3? Everyone says that the association's chief is the #1 expert, but I think Elder Mo is the one. The other 2 elders' pet beasts might not be at this level either. A rank 3 pet beast is indeed impressive. Lin Jin didn't stop. Although this rash move was risky, the rewards were greater. Because the fire lizard was the first rank 3 pet beast Lin Jin came into contact with, and it even had a unique bloodline. Now that strength was measured by pet beasts, Lin Jin's urge to level up Xiao Hua grew stronger. Back home, Lin Jin locked the windows and took out the 6-sun beast soul pill he refined for Xiao Hua to consume. At the same time, he took out the fire spirit crystal and stuffed it into Xiao Hua's mouth. On the stone tablet in the museum, it was written that by consuming the 6-sun beast soul elixir and the spiritual crystal of fire, one could achieve the perfect advancement method. As for what was special about the perfect advancement method, Lin Jin only knew a little about it from the stone tablet. Perfect evolution could directly stabilize a pet beast's level. All other evolution methods had flaws, but perfect evolution was flawless. In addition, perfect evolution had a certain chance of allowing the pet beast to evolve continuously, which was to say, to level up 2 times. Of course, this depended on the quality of the 6 Sun Beast Soul Pill and Fire Spirit Crystal. After swallowing the pill, Xiaohua reacted immediately. A ball of flames burst out from his body. Lin Jin took a few steps back to prevent the flames from burning him. Then, the flames engulfed Xiaohua. Lin Jin was worried that something might happen to Xiaohua. Within the flames, Xiaohua let out a low growl. Lin Jin could hear the crisp sound of his bones growing as his body continued to grow. In addition, Xiaohua's withered fur was reborn within the flames. It could even be said to be brand new. Chapter 22. The night grew darker. On a rooftop not too far away from Lin Jin's mansion, a few people dressed in black leaped across the street. Following them were various pet beasts. Some were large bats, some were black spiders, and some were ferocious-looking apes. When they got close, the group stopped. One of them was dressed in black and had his face covered. Despite his plump physique, he said, "You're all professionals here, so I won't say much. I only have one request. When we get there, teach that kid a lesson. It would be best if you beat him up so badly that even his mother can't recognize him. Just don't kill him." The person who spoke had a hint of hatred in his tone. He was the logistics department's manager, Dong He, who was tricked by Lin Jin earlier in the day. Lin Jin smashing spirit stones in public had left a deep impression on Dong He. More importantly, Lin Jin humiliated him in front of his crush, Jia Qian, and even took away the valuable fire spirit crystal. Because of this, Dong He decided to look for someone at night to beat Lin Jin up and snatch the fire spirit crystal away. The men he found nodded. "Don't worry, it's not our first time doing something like this. Just wait and see." "All right, but I have one more request. When you beat him up, strip him naked. I want to watch. I want to watch this kid cry for his parents and ruin the fun." Dong He said fiercely. "Sure, we'll go in first. Wait for our signal before you go in," the thug agreed. They were paid to do this anyway. They just had to cooperate with their employer. Outside the yard, "This is the place." Dong He had already asked around about Lin Jin's residence. The thugs nodded. They didn't scout the way out and just walked in one after another. Dong He had told them that the people they were supposed to beat up had to be weak and their pet beasts were only rank 1. Since that was the case, what was the point of doing this? After the few of them entered, Dong He began to wait. Inside the house, Xiaohua's evolution continued. Lin Jin rubbed his hands together in excitement as he stared at Xiaohua. Xiaohua's newly grown red fur was shiny and radiating heat. It was completely different from the mongrel he used to be, and his body was gradually growing larger. At first, Xiaohua's growth to the size of an average wolf beast was already impressive enough. Lin Jin thought it was about time, but to his surprise, Xiaohua kept growing. Its torn fur turned to ash and new ones grew out. Its claws, teeth, skin, flesh, and bones continued to fall off and grow back, becoming tougher and sharper. Lin Jin quickly took a few steps back, musing, "This drug is amazing. It's even more potent than taking hormones." As the flames surged, Lin Jin noticed a problem. Xiaohua clenched his claws, and the floor collapsed. Not only that, but the roof of his house was also almost burning. At this moment, the wooden door of the house was suddenly knocked open. A gibbon rushed in first, followed by a large bat and a basin-sized spider. Not only these pet beasts, but a few other people also rushed in with sinister smiles. Lin Jin was stunned. The people and their pet beasts were stunned as well. At the sight of Xiaohua, the initially aggressive pet beasts immediately shuddered. Sometimes, beasts were more sensitive than humans. Although Xiaohua had yet to complete his evolution, his aura was nothing to be scoffed at. Within the flames, Xiaohua swept his gaze across, and the pet beasts immediately scampered away. Beast King Deterrence. There's a certain chance of instilling fear in other pet beasts, temporarily freeing them from blood contract control. At this, a term popped up in Lin Jin's mind. As a beast appraiser, he knew this. High-level pet beasts had this powerful deterrence effect on low-level beasts. Under such circumstances, the other party had no chance of fighting back. After all, if the pet beasts were scared off, how could they fight back? The few thugs who rushed in didn't even have the time to say anything before they were at a loss for what to do. What's going on? Why did it end before it even started? They weren't idiots. This wolf beast was about the size of a bull and covered in flames. This was beyond their scope of business. Hence, they turned to run. Hold it right there. Lin Jean snapped out of his daze. It was the middle of the night, and these thugs were clearly up to no good. How could he not question them? The few of them really did stop. They had no choice. Their pet beasts were too terrifying. Even if they ran, they wouldn't be able to get far. Some of the more cowardly ones were drenched in sweat and fell to their knees. Without waiting for Lin Jean to ask, they spilled the beans. Someone hired you to beat me up? They even wanted to strip me naked and beat me up. How cruel. Lin Jean was infuriated at this. When he asked who the employer was, the thugs answered honestly, a fatty. I know him. He's from the Beast Appraisal Association. His surname is Dong, but I'm not sure what his full name is. He didn't mention it either. Dong he? Lin Jean guessed right away. It had to be him. They had a conflict today, and it was the fatty from the association. Who else could it be if not this guy? Lin Jean pointed at Xiao Hua with a hostile expression and asked the thugs, do you want to live or die? We want to live. We want to live. Brother, we were wrong. Please be magnanimous and let us go. From now on, we'll do anything for you. Just say the word. These few gangsters were obviously very good at what they were doing. Lin Ji nodded. All right then. Go out and strip the person who hired you and beat him up. Remember, you're not allowed to stop until he cries. Hearing this, those people nodded hurriedly. One was a weak fatty, while the other was a ferocious expert with a powerful pet beast. What else could they do? Moreover, that fatty Dong had lied to them. Was this man weak? That wolf beast the size of a bull and covered in flames was a rank 1 pet beast? F***CKM. If they hadn't knelt down in time, they might have lost their lives. Hence, even without Lin Jin's orders, they wanted to teach him a lesson. The fire couldn't be stopped now. It was too late to save the place. Xiao would continue to grow until he was now 1 size bigger than a bull. For a wolf beast to grow to this size was quite terrifying. As the scorching heat assaulted their faces, they hurriedly retreated. Lin Jin only had time to salvage some books and clothes before his house crumbled to the ground. Outside, Dong had already run in after hearing the signal. As he ran, he said, "Why did you burn the house down? But it's good that it's that kid's fault for provoking me." Before he could finish, he was punched to the ground. Then, fists rained down on him. Dazed, Dong couldn't react in time as his clothes were ripped off piece by piece. He wanted to fight back, but his pet beast wouldn't come in no matter how hard he tried. His face and body hurt. Not a single piece of clothing was left. This sudden blow made Dong tremble. Humiliation rose in his heart, but he didn't cry. Instead, he kept wailing like a pig being slaughtered. Annoyed, Lin Jin waved his hand, gesturing for the thugs to drag him further away. The thugs dared not disobey. In fact, they couldn't wait to do so. They immediately covered Dong's head with their clothes and dragged him out. The sound of a pig being slaughtered could no longer be heard. In a distant alley, the thugs dragged Dong away. One of them whispered, "Let's run." Another shook his head. "That guy isn't easy to deal with. Let's not take the risk. Let's continue beating him until he cries." What bad luck today. The thugs all sighed in despair. They had made up their minds to leave the city overnight and hide for a while. Fatty Dong wasn't easy to deal with. Now that he had broken the rules by beating him up, they had to lay low. As for that man with a terrifying pet beast, they would never dare to provoke him again. They would never forget their pet beast's murderous gaze for the rest of their lives. Unable to withstand the beating, Dong didn't cry. Instead, he fainted from the punches and kicks. He fainted. What should we do? One of the thugs asked worriedly. What else can we do? Run. The few thugs immediately scattered like birds and beasts, leaving only the naked Dong lying in the alley. Meanwhile, Lin Jin stared at the ruined house. He turned to look at Xiao Hua, who had returned to his normal size, and patted his head. A rank 3 fire wolf. Just these few words alone told Lin Jin that it would be worth it even if he had to burn down 10 houses, let alone one. Chapter 23. The painstaking pill refinement and the fire spirit crystal finally paid off, and it was the best kind at that. Lin Jin was so happy that he could even wake up in his sleep. At rank 2, pet beasts could utilize elemental powers, and at rank 3, they could change their size. This was a huge leap. It was said that once a pet beast reached rank 4, it would gain even more powerful supernatural powers. However, rank 4 wasn't the time to think about it. Lin Jin was satisfied that Xiaohua managed to advance 2 ranks in a row. It was a miracle. A perfect evolution was truly extraordinary. Lin Jin made up his mind. From now on, if Xiaohua wanted to evolve his pet beast, it must be a perfect evolution. Because after this perfect evolution, Xiaohua's potential rate jumped from 1 to 3. If word got out, it would surely scare a lot of people to death. The hardest part of a pet beast to improve was its potential. It was equivalent to cleansing the pet beast's body. But how many beast appraisers could do this? At the very least, no one in Maple City could do it. His pet beast's evolution, and 2 ranks at once, gave Lin Jin a boost of confidence. A rank 3 pet beast could do whatever it wanted in Maple City. Xiaohua, who had returned to his normal size, was still more ferocious than before. His silky fur was covered in a layer of fire energy. If he didn't grow bigger, no one would be able to tell that he was a rank 3 pet beast. The next day, the Beast Appraisal Association. Zhao Ying and Lu Xiaoyan were already at Lin Jin's appraisal room. They were cleaning, wiping the tables, and making tea. As apprentices learning from their mentors, it was only natural for them to do these small tasks. Why isn't Appraiser Lin here yet? Lu Xiaoyan asked. He should be here soon, Zhao Ying replied. Lu Xiaoyan glanced around the remote and rundown room, feeling indignant. Appraiser Lin is highly skilled and knowledgeable. Even I can't stand watching the association treat him like this. Zhao Ying smiled and said confidently, gold will shine sooner or later. In the past, we didn't know Appraiser Lin's character and skills, but now that we do, we can't just sit back and do nothing. Although Appraiser Lin doesn't care about such slander, he can't allow himself to be bullied. We have to fight back against those rumors. That's right, but when I mention this matter, I get angry. I met some people on the way here, and when I told them, not only did they not believe me, but they also said that I was cheated. No matter how I explained, they didn't believe me. Lu Xiaoyan's chest heaved up and down. She was obviously very angry. It's not something that can be changed overnight. We just need to have confidence in Appraiser Lin. Zhao Ying immediately went up to Lin Jin when she saw him. Appraiser Lin. The 2 girls answered in unison. Lin Jin nodded and assumed the posture of an official mentor. After all, he was now affiliated with an apprentice, so he had to act like a mentor. Xiaohua followed him in. Zhao Ying's pangolin and Lu Xiaoyan's red fox immediately sensed his presence. Both pet beasts tensed up, especially the red fox whose fur stood on end. Lin Jin smacked Xiaohua on the head, and only then did the guy retract his domineering aura. Zhao Ying and Lu Xiaoyan were shocked to see Xiaohua. After one night, Xiaohua looked like he had been reborn. He was definitely showing signs of evolution. As expected of Appraiser Lin, the 2 girls were already used to this. In just 2 days, based on what they knew, Lin Jin had already helped 3 of his pet beasts evolve. If they knew that Xiaohua had evolved consecutively to rank 3, they wouldn't have been so calm. Lin Jin looked at the tidy house, the clean table, and the freshly brewed tea on the table. He couldn't help but feel delighted. However, after waiting for a long time, no one came. Lin Jin felt awkward. He was used to this, but if no one came to him for medical treatment, how was he supposed to teach the 2 girls? After giving it some thought, Lin Jin picked up his pen and copied down the information he had on the pangolin and red fox from the museum. Each of them took up to 10 pages. At first, Zhao Ying and Lu Xiaoyan had no idea what Lin Jin was doing. They just stood there and watched. However, the more they read, the more shocked they became. In the end, they were completely engrossed in it. He was done. Lin Jin put down his pen and said, "Since you're both apprenticeships under my name, I'll have to teach you everything I know. These are the evaluation reports I've written for your pet beasts. Take them and read them. You can also pass them around and study them carefully." The two girls quickly took them from him, as if they had just received a priceless treasure. Although they had only skimmed through it, they were already shocked by the contents. Not only was the origin of the pet beast bloodlines written down, but the ancestral bloodline branches were also written down. Other than that, the information about the pet beasts was extremely detailed. They had never seen anything like this evaluation report before, so the rest weren't even worth mentioning. The most terrifying thing was that specific flaws, weaknesses, and corresponding remedies could be written down for different pet beasts. Other than that, the most valuable part was the evolution method. When Zhao Ying and Lu Xiaoyan read up to this point, they couldn't help but exchange glances. They could see the shock in each other's eyes. Other than shock, there was also excitement. They had truly made the right decision to learn from Lin Jin. In the field of beast appraising, specifying the evolution method was the most valuable part, and also the most difficult. Not every certified beast appraiser had done their research, and even those who had made some achievements would keep their knowledge to themselves like treasures. Even when they wrote evaluation reports, they would only write down the results and not the analysis process. They wouldn't easily teach it to apprentices either. However, the evaluation report Lin Jin gave them didn't just contain the evolution method, but also the method of obtaining it. It included the study of the pet beast's bloodline, the observation and diagnosis of the pet beast, and the assessment of its attributes. All of the knowledge complemented each other, and the final result was reasonable and trustworthy. There was no hiding whatsoever. Hence, upon reading this, the girls trembled in excitement. While feeling grateful, they also eagerly began to learn. Lin Jin glanced at them and shook his head, musing that he hadn't copied down the contents of the museum yet. He had only copied 20% of it, and they were already reacting this way. If he really copied everything down, he was afraid that he would scare them. Take it slow. Lin Jin understood the principle of thin streams flow for a long time. Moreover, if he wrote everything down in one go, they wouldn't be able to understand. After all, the contents of the museum were too mysterious and profound. Taking a sip of tea, Lin Jin stretched his body and shook his head as he looked at the deserted entrance. He couldn't go on like this. As an official beast appraiser, not only would it be embarrassing if no one showed interest in his consultation hall, it would also affect his score. If no one comes, I'll take the initiative. Lin Jin made up his mind. Could a living person die from holding their bladder? Zhao Ying and Lu Xiaoyan were immersed in their evaluation reports. Not wanting to disturb them, Lin Jin got up and walked out with Xiaohua. While Lin Jin's place was deserted, the entire association was bustling with activity. There was an endless stream of people seeking appraisals and treatment for their pet beasts. As usual, Chief Wang Ji and appraiser Gao Zhang's tokens had long been sold out. As an official rank 1 beast appraiser Gao Zhang's status in the association was second only to Chief Wang Ji. The consultation hall he was in was spacious and bright. It was furnished with screens and potted plants. It was many times better than Lin Jin's consultation hall. Although your pet beast's attributes are suitable, its potential is average. Although I can help to improve it, there's still a limit. For the long term, I suggest you change your pet beast. Gao Zhang picked up his brush and began writing down his evaluation report. The client seemed hesitant, clearly reluctant to part with his pet beast. Seeing this, Gao Zhang was displeased. The apprentice beside him grew impatient. Appraiser Gao has made it very clear. Why can't you understand? Your pet beast's potential is average. In other words, it has no chance of evolving. If you're willing to stay with this useless pet beast, no one will stop you. The client became even more hesitant. Looking at the toucan in his arms, he couldn't decide what to do. If you want to consider it, go back and do so. Don't hold up other people's appraisals. Also, if you've made up your mind, you can come to our Beast Appraisal Association to purchase a pet beast. I can't guarantee anything else, but the pet beasts we sell are all of pure bloodlines and have great potential. The apprentice began chasing the client away. The client could only nod, stand up, thank him, and head out. However, he had only taken a few steps when he was stopped by someone. "Brother, I see that you're frowning. Is it because of the pet beast in your arms?" The client was in a bad mood. Turning around, he realized that the person who stopped him was wearing a one-ringed sleeve band. This person was obviously an official beast appraiser as well. He swallowed back the expletives he was about to curse. The beast appraiser who stopped him was obviously Lin Jean. He happened to be walking over and bumped into this person, so he asked around, who knew he would actually gain something. Sigh, this toucan has been with me for years. It's like family. How could I abandon it just because it has no chance of evolving? The client explained briefly before lamenting. Lin Jean reached out to stroke the toucan before saying, it has poor potential, but saying that it has no chance of evolving is wrong. Come. Follow me. I'll take a look at it. I guarantee that it'll evolve in 3 days. The client was overjoyed and left with Lin Jean, who knew that Zhang He, who happened to be passing by, would notice all of this. His eyes darted around before he entered Gao Zhang's consultation hall and exaggerated the story. Appraiser Gao Zhang's expression darkened. Lin Jin's actions were clearly a provocation. Smack! A crack appeared on the stone table from Gao Zhang's palm. Who does Lin Jin think he is? How dare he question my appraisal results? Chapter 24. As one of the most prominent beast appraisers in the association, Gao Jiang was naturally proud and had absolute confidence in his appraisal results. Even if Chief Wang Ji or the 3 elders of the association were to give him some guidance, he might not be convinced, let alone Lin Jin, who was now the shame of the association. This made him feel extremely humiliated. After all, an evaluation report represented the reputation of a beast appraiser. Zhang He, who came to complain, was in a good mood when he saw appraiser Gao's expression. He mused, "Oh, Lin Jin, you made a fool of me 2 days ago, and today, your retribution has come. I can't afford to offend you, but appraiser Gao Jiang has no qualms about dealing with you." Perhaps thinking that it wasn't enough, Zhang He decided to add more firewood. "Appraiser Gao, there's something I'm not sure if I should say." Zhang He behaved very respectfully. Logically speaking, he was now an apprentice under the president's name, so there was no need for him to be so respectful. However, Zhang He was here to sow discord, so of course, he could not allow anyone to find fault with him. "What is it?" Gao Jiang was in a bad mood, but he still maintained his composure. After all, he had a distinguished status. Other than being an official beast appraiser, he was also the young master of the Gao family, one of Maple City's top 3 families. "It's like this," Zhang He quickly said. "It's still that Lin Jin. I heard that he used some tricks to make the apprentice under your name, Lu Xiaoyan, change her affiliation to him." Lu Xiaoyan? Gao Jiang was stunned. He had more than 20 apprentices under his name, so it was impossible for him to remember every single one of them. But Lu Xiaoyan was different. She was one of the most beautiful women in the association. In addition, Lu Yunhe, the leader of the younger generation in Maple City's Friar Association, was Lu Xiaoyan's brother. Lu Yunhe was no ordinary man. The Friar Association focused on researching ancient and mortal cultivation. Not only were they strong, but their pet beasts were also top-notch. They even had heritage cultivation methods to enhance their pet beasts. How could Gao Jiang not remember the younger sister of such a character? He immediately turned to his apprentice beside him. Startled, the latter quickly went to check, and it turned out that it was true. Lu Xiaoyan had gone to the General Affairs Department yesterday and changed her affiliation to a new instructor. This time, Gao Jiang's face turned pale. He might have been able to control himself before, but now, he couldn't. "You're going too far." Before this, Gao Jiang had only looked down on Lin Jin, but now he was full of hostility. However, he knew that if he were to approach Lin Jin, he would be showing the latter some respect. No matter how things turned out, people would still accuse him of bullying a piece of trash. That trash must have used some despicable method, but it's not convenient for me to personally appear at this time, lest people say that I bullied him. I'll write a letter to Lu Yunhe. His sister has gone astray, so as a brother, I should discipline her. After Gao Jiang finished speaking, he really did write a letter and handed it to his subordinate to deliver. When Zhang Yi saw that he had achieved his goal, he didn't stay any longer and quickly took his leave. Outside, Zhang he mumbled to himself. Oh, Lin Jin, I refuse to believe that I can't bring you down. You've already dropped out of the top 5 twice in a row, and with that beast appraisal incident, you're already at the edge of cliff. This time, you're digging your own grave by provoking a praiser Gao. You're asking for it. On the other hand, Lin Jin handed the completed evaluation report to one of the customers he dragged over. The latter took a look and asked, doubtfully, Appraiser Lin, is this really okay? Lin Jin patted his chest and guaranteed, don't worry about it. This evaluation report has my seal and signature on it. If there's a problem, you can always come to me. The man thought about it and agreed. He was a foreigner who specifically came to Maple City's Beast Appraisal Association to appraise beasts because of the authority here. Hence, he nodded. This is my name tag. Just take it out and pay the fee at the payment counter. The fees are all on this piece of paper. Lin Jin reminded him considerately. Knowing the rules, the man nodded and left. After he left, he saw many people pointing at him. Baffled, he asked about it out of curiosity. Only then did he learn the inside story. You're saying that this appraiser Lin has a bad reputation, that his skills are shoddy, and that he even caused an accident when he appraised beasts wrongly. That's right. You're a foreigner, so you don't know. Don't be fooled by others. Even locals like us wouldn't approach appraiser Lin for an evaluation. The man shook his head in disbelief. Instead, he mumbled that appraiser Lin isn't as bad as they say he is. Forget it. With the evaluation report here, I could just come back if there's a problem. For the entire morning, Lin Jin took the initiative to stop quite a few customers. Of course, there were some who were rejected, but no matter what, it was much better than yesterday's lack of interest. Zhao Ying and Lu Xiaoyan were still immersed in the evaluation report. When they encountered something they couldn't understand, they raised their hands and asked. Lin Jin went over to take a look and explained it to them according to the museum's explanation. I see. So my pet beast problem lies in its conflicting attribute and bloodline. The more Earth's spiritual energy it absorbs, the more it gets clogged up. It's no wonder why it couldn't evolve before. Zhao Ying was enlightened. Lu Xiaoyan also learned a lot. Just then, someone outside asked, Lin Jin, is appraiser Lin here? Zukin stood outside, looking at the giant tortoise that was half a man's height with a worried expression. As the direct descendant of Maple City's Zhu family, Zukin had an incomparable background. He was a young master born with a silver spoon in his mouth, but he had his own troubles as well. His pet beast, this giant tortoise, had been following him since he was young. Recently, it had contracted a strange disease and was dispirited. Because of this, he had contacted Chief Wang Ji and appraiser Gao Jiang, but the conclusion he received was the same. When a disease is beyond cure, no medicine can cure it. To put it bluntly, there was no cure. However, both of them had prescribed prescriptions that could slow down the disease. But after taking several doses of medicine, there was no improvement. Seeing his giant tortoise deteriorating day by day, Zukin lost his appetite. His family elders had already started looking for a new pet beast for him, which was equivalent to giving up on the giant tortoise. But Zukin was reluctant. After more than a decade of companionship, how could he just give it up so easily? He had searched for famous beast appraisers everywhere. Today, he came to Chief Wang only to receive the same diagnosis. In his despair, Zukin noticed Lin Jin's name tag, so he decided to come take a look. He had to make every possible effort. Zukin knew that appraiser Lin didn't have a good reputation, so his diagnosis couldn't possibly be better than Chief Wang's. At most, it was just a result. But Zukin wanted to try again. Even if there was only a sliver of hope, he didn't want to give up. When Lin Jin came out personally, he immediately saw the listless giant tortoise. Wow, what a huge tortoise! Lin Jin exclaimed. Zukin frowned when he heard this, and his heart sank. His pet was a sapphire tortoise, not a tortoise. As a beast appraiser, how could Lin Jin make such a mistake? Seems like the rumors about him being a good-for-nothing would never happen without a cause. Zukin sighed and was about to leave when he realized he was wasting his time. He must be crazy. Why would he look for someone with such a bad reputation? However, what Lin Jin said next made him stop. Cough, cough. Your sapphire tortoise has great potential and it even has the bloodline of a 7-sea dragon tortoise. However, you couldn't fulfill its evolution requirements. So even after accompanying you for 10 years, 3 months, and 1 day, you still couldn't evolve it. You didn't even know your pet beast had been poisoned. The more Zukin listened, the more shocked he became. In the end, his face was filled with astonishment. In Lin Jin's consultation hall, when the tea was ready, Zukin looked anxious, but Lin Jin was unhurried. He knew that if Lin Jin had taken the initiative to look for him, it meant that he had no other choice. He must have gotten someone else to take a look at his pet beast, and it wasn't a good one. If he could take good care of it, he wouldn't come looking for Lin Jin. That made things easier. Appraiser Lin, what did you mean when you said it was poisoned? Zukin was anxious. He couldn't rule out the possibility that Lin Jin was exaggerating to attract his attention. But whether that was the case or not, he had to get to the bottom of it. Lin Jin could see the suspicion in Zukan's eyes, so he said, "Recently, your pet beast hasn't been able to eat, right? Not only is it listless, but it also has bloody stools. After taking medicine, it would vomit it out after a while. The carapace on its abdomen is peeling off, and there are black veins under its eyes. The most troublesome thing is that every dusk, when yin and yang are alternating, it would become inexplicably violent. After wreaking havoc, it would become extremely weak and unable to move for several hours." Clang! The teacup in Zukan's hand fell onto the table, spilling tea all over the floor. Chapter 25. Zukin was flabbergasted. It wasn't that Appraiser Lin was wrong. In fact, Appraiser Lin was right. There were many details that Appraiser Lin had never mentioned to anyone else. Previously, neither Chief Wang nor Appraiser Gao could tell, but this Appraiser Lin seemed to have seen it all with his own eyes. What did this mean? Zukin wasn't an idiot. Based on his diagnosis alone, it meant that Appraiser Lin's appraisal and treatment skills far surpassed those of the other 2 beast appraisers. Taking a deep breath, Zukin calmed himself down. He had been through too much lately. He had sought out countless reputable medical appraisers, but none of them could cure his pet beast's illness. Sometimes, just as a glimmer of hope was ignited, it was quickly extinguished by despair. His family was pressuring him, trying to persuade him to give up on this pet beast. Because he was the eldest grandson, he was to be groomed as the future head of the family. As the future head of the family, how could he be burdened by a sickly pet beast? In fact, the family had given him a deadline. If he couldn't cure his pet beast's illness within 3 days, he would have to accept the family's order to replace his pet beast no matter what. Taking a deep breath, Zukin said, "Appraiser Lin is right. But when I've sought out reputable beast appraisers, all they found were symptoms, not poison." He had his doubts, even though he was almost convinced by Lin Jin's words. Lin Jin shook his head. "I don't comment on other people's diagnoses. As an official beast appraiser, I, Lin Jin, always base my diagnosis on facts. I will never exaggerate. What is true is true. Your pet beast has indeed been poisoned, and it wasn't an accident. Someone has been poisoning it for a long time." Zukin's expression changed drastically. "That's impossible. I've been looking after it every day. How could it have been poisoned for a long period of time?" As if remembering something, Zukin's eyelid twitched, and he stopped talking. Lin Jin knew that sometimes there was no need to go into detail. Just make sure to leave it at that. Just like now, Zukin must have figured out the crux of the matter. Of course, Lin Jin was confident in his own diagnosis. It was the result recorded on the stone tablet after the large tortoise was recorded in the Museum of Deadly Beasts. Lin Jin was confident in the museum's abilities. Silence. Zukin's expression changed as he thought of something. After a long while, he asked softly, "Appraiser Lin, do you know what poison it is?" Lin Jin did know. It's colorless and odorless. Normal humans or pet beasts wouldn't be affected if they consumed it, nor would they be poisoned. However, the 7 seas dragon turtle's bloodline is the bane of its existence. After being poisoned, it's extremely difficult to detect. It's as if you're sick, but you can't pinpoint the cause. Over time, your pet beast's condition naturally deteriorated. If you had come to me any later, I could have just dug a hole to bury it. Zukin's eyes lit up when he heard this. In other words, his pet beast could still be saved. At once, he stood up and bowed. Appraiser Lin, please save him. I won't hesitate to pay any price. Sure. Lin Jin rubbed his hands together. Have you hung up on my account? Zukin ran out to register while Lin Jin patted the large turtle's head with a smug look on his face. Because just a moment ago, because he recorded more than 10 rare bloodline pet beasts in the museum suddenly lit up and rewarded him with a cultivation method. Just like the wild beast deterrence reward, this cultivation method wasn't simple either. After all, anything produced by the museum was bound to be of high quality. Beast Energy Formation, Part 1. Exclusive cultivation for pet beasts. Upon completion, the pet beast will be promoted to Level 1 energy training. Lin Jin was stunned. Cultivating energy was the first step for ancient immortals. But now, immortals were nothing more than myths and legends. Their corresponding cultivation methods no longer existed. It was said that the Friar Association still had some energy cultivation manuals, but they were kept under wraps like treasures, never to be shown to others. Now that the world's spirit energy had changed, it was difficult for humans to absorb it. Pet beasts could, but without a cultivation method, they could only rely on their instincts, bloodline, and potential to improve. If they were lucky, they could evolve, but if they were unlucky, they would be stuck at the same spot until death. But with this beast energy formation, things would be different. No matter what kind of pet beast it was, as long as they cultivated this cultivation method specifically prepared for beasts, they would be able to gradually improve. Hence, the value of this beast energy formation was unimaginable. It's a pity there's only Part 1. Lin Jin was still unsatisfied. He had tried it earlier. By pressing his hand on his pet beast, he could impart the cultivation method to it and let it cultivate on its own. Xiao Hu was lying on the ground as if he was dozing off, but in fact he had already started cultivating. With such a powerful cultivation method, Lin Jin obviously had to give it to his pet beast first. As for the others, they could wait. Lin Jin finally understood the Museum of Deadly Beasts reward system. One was the number of beasts recorded. Once the number reached a certain number, he would be rewarded. The other was the number of rare beasts recorded. The reward for the latter was obviously better. As for Zhu Can's pet beast, it seemed to be in a serious condition, but it was actually easy to treat. Lin Jin had already arranged for Zhao Ying and Lu Xiaoyun to gather some medicinal ingredients to brew a pill to help the large tortoise recuperate. With this, as long as it didn't get poisoned again, it would recover in a few days. By the time Zukin returned and saw the large tortoise, the pet beast looked much more energetic. This made Zukin even more convinced of Lin Jin's diagnosis. Appraiser Lin, I have a favor to ask of you, Zukin said respectfully. Just the fact that Lin Jin had saved his pet beast was enough to make him eternally grateful. Having said that, he pointed at his pet beast and asked, "Can I leave him here for a few days?" "Don't worry, I won't make you pay for it out of your own pocket." He took out a stack of banknotes and handed it over. Lin Jin glanced at it and saw that it was around 200 silvers. This descendant of a prominent family sure was generous. "No problem. You can leave him here for as long as you want." Lin Jin accepted the money without batting an eyelid. It just so happened that his house was in need of renovation and his yard could be renovated too. Plus, he would be left with quite a bit of silver. As for why the man wanted to leave his pet beast here, it was obvious. To be able to poison his pet beast under Zhu Qin's nose for so long, it must be someone close to him. Hence, if he didn't solve this problem, his pet beast might still be poisoned if he returned. Zukin excused himself. Lin Jin had money and it was lunchtime. His stomach was growling, so he turned to Zhao Ying and Lu Xiaoyun and said, "Let's go. I'll take you guys out for some good food." The two girls were obviously delighted. Lin Jin went home first and found a few craftsmen. After giving them some money, he arranged for them to repair the yard and the burned house before rushing to the restaurant where he was supposed to meet Zhao Ying and Lu Xiaoyun. Symphony Restaurant. This was Lin Jin's first time treating his guests to a restaurant, and it was such a high-class one at that. He had booked a table on the second floor. On the first floor, Lin Jin overheard a few apprentices from the association who were here for lunch gossiping. Did you hear? Manager Dong of the logistics department was found sleeping in an alley early in the morning. Most importantly, he was naked, without a single piece of clothing on his body. The scene at that time was simply indescribable. Haha, I did hear about that. Fatty Dong must have been too mean, and God is punishing him. After such a humiliation, he probably won't dare to show his face for the time being. Upon hearing this, Lin Jin was in a good mood. With a smile, he headed upstairs. Chapter 26. Dong He reaped what he sowed. Consider this a lesson for him. But just the thought of that fat, pig-eared man lying naked on the street made Lin Jin shudder. That scene must have been so beautiful that no one dared to look straight at it. Lin Jin quickly shook his head. It was almost time for dinner, so he shouldn't think about such disgusting things. When he got to the second floor, Zhao Ying and Lu Xiaoyun were already waving at him. Symphony Restaurant was definitely one of the best restaurants in Maple City. The main reason was that the dishes here looked, smelled, and tasted great. Their reputation spread far and wide. While the prices weren't cheap, Lin Jin could still afford this small amount of money he had just earned. As a high-end restaurant, Symphony Restaurant naturally had private rooms, but they were more expensive. Lin Jin chose to eat in the private area. What would you like to eat? Lin Jin asked as he sat down. It's appraiser Lin's treat. You decide, Zhao Ying and Lu Xiaoyan said. Nodding, Lin Jin flipped open the menu. Various dishes came into view. Admittedly, even before he started eating, the names of the dishes were enough to whet his appetite. Dear guests, what a coincidence. Today, our Symphony Restaurant has specially invited the world-renowned Master Chef Liao Gu to cook for us. Of course, not every dish will be cooked by Master Liao, so I'll keep you in suspense. Once you've ordered, I'll tell you which dish will be cooked by Master Chef Liao himself. The waiter was good with his words, but Lin Jin had no idea who this Master Chef Liao was. He didn't know, but Lu Xiaoyan did. It's Master Chef Liao Gu. Lu Xiaoyan was shocked. Is this Master Chef Liao Gu very famous? Zhao Ying asked innocently. Of course. Lu Xiaoyan nodded. This Master Chef Liao used to be the head chef of the royal family. Many dignitaries wanted to taste his dishes, but never got their wish. Later on, Master Chef Liao traveled the world, and his culinary skills were undeniably top-notch, at least in our Jade Dragon Kingdom. That's amazing. Even Lin Jin was shocked. It seemed like his luck was pretty good today. However, there were only the names of the dishes on the menu, so Lin Jin asked the waiter about them one by one. The waiter responded enthusiastically, and Lin Jin finally had a plan. Then let's order this. Premium vinegar dragonfish, spirit root lamb leg, sand salt 3-grass chicken. Lin Jin ordered 7 to 8 dishes in one go. He was ready to feast. Seeing this, the waiter also felt deep veneration. Sir, you are truly a connoisseur. 2 of these dishes were personally cooked by Chef God Liao. Hearing this, Lu Xiaoyun was so happy that she wiped her saliva excitedly. It could be seen that she was a standard foodie. They ordered the dishes. It would take time to cook, so the 3 of them drank tea and chatted. Just then, more and more customers arrived. Lin Jin suddenly felt uncomfortable, as if someone was staring at him. He turned his head and saw a few people walking up the stairs. Zhang He was one of them. Ever since he lost to Lin Jin in the beast appraisal, Zhang He didn't dare to look Lin Jin in the eye. Now, he was intentionally avoiding eye contact, but his expression was clearly hostile. Apart from Zhang He, there was another woman. This woman's body was like a snake's, graceful and charming. Her every movement was so captivating. Lin Jin found this woman in his memory as well. Jia Qian. She was his predecessor's classmate and was currently the #1 apprentice in the Beast Appraisal Association. It was said that she only missed by 1 mark during the last official Beast Appraiser exam. In his memory, his predecessor admired this female classmate, but Lin Jin didn't. He just felt that this woman was definitely a vixen and most men wouldn't be able to control her. Both of them were apprentices of the Beast Appraisal Association. They were currently accompanying a middle-aged scholar with a respectful attitude. Lin Jin could tell that the scholar was no ordinary person. They noticed Lin Jin too. Zhang He glared at him coldly, while Jia Qian's gaze froze. She didn't say a word. The three of them went to a private room. Appraiser Lin, that Zhang, he's a scumbag. He's still spreading bad things about you, Zhao Ying said angrily. Lu Xiaoyan asked another question. Appraiser Lin, I heard that you and Jia Qian aren't on good terms, and that Chief Wang is targeting you because of her. Lin Jin waved his hand nonchalantly. Let's eat. Don't talk about something so depressing. Inside the private room, the attendants weren't just regular waiters, but the manager of Symphony Restaurant himself. Clearly, the scholar Jia Qian had invited was no ordinary person. Symphony Restaurant's manager, Zhang Bailey, left the private room with a smile before summoning a waiter to instruct, today's guest is no ordinary guest. He's our country's #1 calligrapher, Gu Mingzhou. This master loves food the most. These are the dishes he's ordered. Instruct the kitchen to prepare them meticulously. The waiter didn't dare to delay. He picked up the menu and ran off. But after a while, he ran back with a pained expression. Manager, Master Chef Liao said that we only have enough ingredients for 1 plate of this premium vinegar dragonfish. But a customer has already ordered one, so we can't make a second plate, the waiter said softly. What? Zhang Bailey's expression changed and his eyes darted around. Which customer ordered it? Over there. The waiter pointed at Lin Jin's table. Zhang Bailey glanced over before smirking. And here I was wondering who it was. So it's this useless beast appraiser. Do as I say and bring their premium vinegar dragonfish here. Then what about them? The waiter was shocked. Simple. Find a similar fish and have the other chefs cook it the same way. Do you think they'll be able to tell? But no buts. Can't you tell which side is more important? Hurry up and do it. If anything happens, I'll take responsibility. On Lin Jin's side, the dishes were served one after another. The premium vinegar dragonfish was the finale and was served last. This table of dishes was truly a feast. Lu Xiaoyan couldn't wait any longer and wanted to pick up her chopsticks. Just then, Lin Jin, who had just picked up a piece of fish meat with his chopsticks, suddenly spat it out of his mouth. Waiter! Lin Jin called for the waiter. Feeling guilty, the waiter lowered his head and asked, Sir, what's the matter? Lin Jin didn't get angry. Instead, he pointed at the premium vinegar dragonfish and said, There's something wrong with this fish. Zhang Bailey, who had been observing the situation, was startled. Then he walked over. This is our manager. The waiter quickly introduced him. I'm Symphony Restaurant's manager, Zhang Bailey. What's the matter, sir? Zhang Bailey asked deliberately. Lin Jin replied, There's something wrong with this fish. Sir, please don't speak without thinking. Our Symphony Restaurant is a century-old restaurant, and everyone knows about it. If you say there's something wrong with our dishes for no reason, you'll have to bear the consequences. Zhang Bailey obviously knew there was something wrong with the dishes, so he planned to intimidate the other party with his aura. Although he had no idea how Lin Jin could tell, he figured a little intimidation would make him behave. Lin Jin frowned. Zhao Ying and Lu Xiaoyan didn't say a word. They knew that appraiser Lin wouldn't have said this if he hadn't noticed something. Since he did, there must be a reason. Hence, they put down their chopsticks. Lin Jin didn't intend to make a fuss about this. Instead, he said calmly, Manager Zhang, don't be so presumptuous. Let's check with the kitchen and see if they serve the wrong dish. This isn't the premium vinegar dragonfish we ordered. This was already giving the other party a way out, because Lin Jin could tell with one bite that this wasn't the premium vinegar dragonfish. He didn't rely on his mouth to taste it. Instead, by touching the dish, the Museum of Deadly Beasts recorded it. Of course, it wasn't the dish that was recorded, but the ingredients used. Fish. Fish were a type of aquatic beast. According to the waiter's introduction, this premium vinegar dragonfish was made with Sichuan River's arowana as the main ingredient. It was cooked with vinegar, sugar, and other supplementary ingredients. Lin Jin didn't know how to cook it, but the fish was definitely not Sichuan River's arowana. It was just a regular river carp. Chapter 27. They had agreed to use the arowana, but in the end, they served carp instead. Lin Jin had his reasons for saying there was a problem with the fish, but he didn't plan to make a big deal out of it. He just wanted to have a meal and asked the waiter to serve a more suitable dish. Of course, he couldn't just make do with it. The dish Lin Jin ordered this time had a spirit-energy balance. If he didn't eat the arowana, the balance would be disrupted and it would no longer be beneficial to his body. Lin Jin didn't plan on causing trouble, but Zhang Bailey wasn't happy about it. Secretly changing dishes was a restaurant's biggest taboo. Now that he had done it, he didn't want anyone to know about it. Of course, if there was an extra arowana, it wouldn't be a big deal. But there was only one arowana left, and he had to serve it to the customers in the private room. No matter what, he couldn't change it. If he did, it would only make him look guilty. The best way was to bluff his way out of this and deny it. Symphony Restaurant is a century-old restaurant. How could they possibly serve the wrong dish? Sir, this is the premium vinegar dragonfish you ordered. Stop trying to cause trouble, Zhang Bailey said coldly. To most people, he wouldn't have the guts to say this, but to Lin Jin, he did. Symphony Restaurant was located very close to the Beast Appraisal Association. Most of the customers here were members of the association, so Zhang Bailey was very familiar with the administrative and logistical staff of the association. Dong He from the logistics department was one of Zhang Bailey's frequent customers. From Dong He, Zhang Bailey had heard rumors about Lin Jin. Although Lin Jin was certified as an official beast appraiser in the Beast Appraisal Association, he had been completely marginalized. Moreover, he had even caused an appraisal accident. If things went smoothly, he would soon be stripped of his qualifications. He might not even be able to work as a temp anymore. Why should Zhang Bailey care about someone like this? Hence, Lin Jin was unscrupulous. Lin Jin shook his head at the man's words and said, "You're the manager. You should be responsible for your words." "What? Are you threatening me?" "Let me tell you, Symphony Restaurant has encountered all kinds of people. If you're eating obediently, we welcome you. But if you're here to cause trouble, this isn't a place for you to behave atrociously." Zhang Bailey's attitude was tough. As he spoke, he waved his hand and called a few thugs from the restaurant over. As a restaurant owner, it was inevitable to encounter people who wanted to dine and dash, so they definitely had a way to deal with them. Equipping a few thugs with decent skills was the best choice. This time, Lu Xiaoyun and Zhao Ying couldn't stand it anymore. "How can your restaurant be like a black shop? We only wanted you to confirm if the dishes below were served correctly, yet you treat your customers like this. This is simply preposterous." Zhang Bailey decided to shed all pretense of cordiality. "Young lady, watch your words. If this man hadn't insisted on picking a fight with us, we wouldn't have done this. Besides, everyone has heard of Appraiser Lin's reputation. I've heard that he's poor. This table of dishes costs at least 20 taels of silver. Can he afford it? Don't tell me you're trying to eat and dash with this excuse." This time, Lin Jin's expression darkened. Just then, the dishes were served. They were also first-rate vinegar dragonfish, and they were carried to the private room. Lin Jin's eyes lit up, and he went over to stop him. "What are you trying to do?" Zhang Bailey's heart skipped a beat at the sight of this, and he immediately went over to stop him. The thugs also went over to stop him. However, Lin Jin was furious. He was no longer the cowardly predecessor he once was. "Now, if you don't provoke me, we can talk nicely. But if you do, I'm sorry, but how things develop is no longer up to you." "Zhao Ying," Lin Jin shouted, and the latter immediately slammed the table. There was a series of clanking noises outside before a 2-meter-long pangolin crawled in. Usually, pet beasts would be stored in a special beast pen on the first floor. Zhao Ying cast a spell to summon the pangolin. It wasn't just her. Lu Xiaoyun's red fox had appeared out of nowhere as well, its body covered in flames. Although it wasn't as intimidating as the pangolin, its sharp claws and fangs looked even more dangerous. As for Lin Jin's Xiaohua, he was staying at the association to cultivate Beast Energy Formation Part 1. The thugs were stunned and didn't dare to stop Lin Jin anymore. They watched as Lin Jin stopped the plate of first-rate vinegar dragonfish. Lin Jin gently probed the fish's body with his finger and understood what was going on. Zhang Bailey's face was contorted in anger. "Someone is causing trouble. Report it to the authorities. Lin, don't even think about leaving today." Lin Jin couldn't care less. "I won't leave even if you ask me to. You unscrupulous merchant, we ordered the first-rate vinegar dragonfish, yet you used a common carp to fool your customers. But when you gave it to someone else, it was a genuine dragonfish. Is this how you deceive your customers? Or are you deliberately targeting us? Even if you want to be kind today, I won't. At this, Zhang Bailey's heart skipped a beat. He knew better than anyone else what was going on, but he was certain that Lin Jin couldn't tell. So what was going on? In an instant, Zhang Bailey panicked. This matter could not be exposed. Otherwise, not only would the reputation of the Symphony restaurant be ruined, the owner of the restaurant would also not let him off easily. Zhang Bailey panicked. He made up his mind to keep this incident a secret. Lin, you're slandering me. You're just a beast appraiser who can't even protect himself. Do you know who owns this Symphony restaurant? You caused a huge disaster today and offended someone you shouldn't have. Let me tell you, apologize now and get lost, or else. Or else what? Lin Jin was amenable to persuasion, but not coercion. Things had already come to this, yet the other party was still so stubborn. Fine, let's blow this matter up. Let's see who's going to die then. The commotion here naturally alerted the surrounding guests. Many of them were now watching the commotion as they pointed and gossiped among themselves. Due to the commotion, the guests in the private room were startled as well. Zhang, he was the first to come out. When he saw that it was Lin Jin who was causing trouble, he asked around and found out that Lin Jin was the one who kept their dishes. He immediately scolded. Lin Jin, are you out of your mind? We've invited Chief Wang as our esteemed guest today. Look at you. You don't look like an official beast appraiser at all. The only response he got was a scram. Zhang, he was infuriated. But on second thought, he realized that this was an opportunity. Lin Jin had caused trouble and even kept their dishes. This would definitely upset Master Gu. After all, Master Gu Mingzhong was a well-known figure in the country. Even Chief Wang had to be respectful before him. Offending Master Gu Mingzhong was no different from suicide. Looks like you're going to be kicked out of the association today. Zhang, he was pleased. He immediately went back to add fuel to the fire and explain the situation. Soon, Jia Qian came out with Master Gu Mingzhong. Jia Qian looked at Lin Jin with even more displeasure. She had always been prejudiced against Lin Jin and even treated him as a stumbling block. Seeing him causing trouble today, other than disdain, she also felt a sense of anger. Why didn't I insist on taking the exam back then? How could I let this piece of trash surpass me? What a disgrace. People like him must be kicked out of the association. No, they must be kicked out of the entire beast appraiser community. Master Gu, this man is a beast appraiser of our association. However, he's not a very good person. You've seen it for yourself. How could he cause trouble here? Also, his skills aren't good enough, and he even had a beast appraisal accident before, Jia Qian said softly. Gu Mingzhong's brows were knitted together in displeasure. Jia Qian and Zhang, he were elated at the sight of Gu Mingzhong's displeasure. Because Master Gu didn't even need to say a word. Once word got out, Lin Jin would be on the receiving end of everyone's hatred. The chief would surely kick him out today. At that moment, Zhang Bailey hurried over to apologize, saying that he had failed in his hospitality and disturbed their esteemed guest. Just then, someone came up from downstairs. As soon as this person came up, a waiter went up to him. Master Chef Liao, why are you here? Chapter 28. This man was slightly plump and of average height, but he had an imposing air about him. Dressed like a chef, he was none other than the renowned Master Chef Liao Gu. It's so noisy here that I can hear it from the kitchen. What's going on? Liao Gu asked, clearly concerned about the problem with the dish. Zhang Bailey panicked when he saw Liao Gu. Because chef god Liao Gu had traveled to this place, his boss had invited him to cook for a day to increase the reputation of Symphony Restaurant. The premium vinegar dragonfish was chef god Liao's specialty, and there was only one dragonfish, so it was impossible that chef god Liao didn't know. Zhang Bailey went over to greet him. Master Liao, why are you here? This is a small matter. Let me handle it. Afraid that Master Chef Liao would learn the truth, Zhang Bailey quickly stopped him. It was said that Master Chef Liao had a fiery temper and hated cheating customers the most. His worst fear came true. Ignoring Zhang Bailey, Master Chef Liao headed straight for Lin Jin. Gu Mingzhong, who was about to leave, stopped at the sight of Liao Gu and smiled. I didn't want to disturb Master Liao after meeting an old friend in a foreign land, but since I've bumped into him, I should go and greet him. Having said that, he walked over. Many people who didn't know the truth were blaming Lin Jin, including the customers here. It was as if Lin Jin was deliberately picking a fight. Lin Jin was fine with it, but Zhao Ying and Lu Xiaoyun were fuming and arguing with someone else. Seeing that Zhao Ying was on the verge of tears, Lin Jin shook his head. He didn't want to make a big deal out of today's incident, but not only did the other party refuse to admit to tampering with the dish, they even accused him of cheating. If the uncle could tolerate it, the aunt could not. All right, then let's blow this matter up. Just then, a plump man approached. Sir, I'm Liao Gu. I was the one who made the premium vinegar dragonfish today. Is there a problem? Liao Gu didn't know the specifics, but he heard people talking about the premium vinegar dragonfish, so he came over out of curiosity. After all, he was confident in his dish. It's Master Chef Liao. I heard he's the best chef in the world. Even nobles have to make reservations half a year in advance if they want to taste his dishes. Hearing the conversation, Lin Jin knew that the man before him was the master chef. Therefore, he bowed politely and told them everything that happened. That's the situation. I'm not trying to pick a fight, but it's too much to use fake dishes to fool people. Moreover, that manager Zhang even slandered me for coming here to dine and dash. If he doesn't give me an explanation for this, I, Lin Jin, won't be afraid even if I have to make a scene. At this moment, Lin Jin had a serious look on his face and a dignified demeanor. He stood proudly like a sword, his speech clear and polite. He was very different from the ignorant and useless beast appraiser everyone was talking about. Liao Gu nodded, then looked at the 2 plates of first-grade vinegar dragonfish in front of him with a frown. Who was he? He was the world-renowned master chef, and the first-rate vinegar dragonfish was his specialty. He didn't need to eat it to know if it was real or not. It was just as Lin Jin said. Someone had passed off a fake vinegar dragonfish as the real deal to deceive customers. Liao Gu had been in the restaurant all his life, so how could he not know that something was fishy? He turned his head and looked at Zhang Bailey. Sensing that something was wrong, the latter was too scared to speak, his face pale. Liao Gu didn't say anything else but asked Lin Jin, "How did you know?" "I ate it," Lin Jin answered honestly. He really did find out by eating it, but not by tasting it. Instead, it was through the Museum of Deadly Beasts. Look at these 2 plates of fish. They may look the same, but their size, appearance, and even their aroma are indistinguishable. But in reality, be it the method used or the ingredients used, they're all different. If I'm not mistaken, this is a Han River salmon carp. The appearance and meat quality of this carp are very similar to that of an arowana, which is why they used it as a fake. To be honest, this carp isn't bad, but it's still not an arowana. Yet, they used a vinegar dragonfish method. With such incompatible attributes, if they were to pair it with a 1-year-old lamb from Meng City's Triangle and a 3-month-old yellow chicken with abundant yang energy, the attributes would clash even more. If you eat too much of it, you might even become dispirited. If you're unlucky, you might even fall seriously ill. Lin Jin simply explained what he learned from his taste so that others wouldn't accuse him of spouting nonsense. As Liao Gu listened, his expression turned into one of astonishment. Lin Jin picked up a genuine vinegar dragonfish with his chopsticks and tasted it. This is the real deal. It's a pity that there are fish eggs in this dragonfish's belly. The eggs taste bitter and aren't suitable for cooking, so most chefs would choose to dig them out and discard them. But this plate of fish eggs is rich and mellow. Perhaps it's because of the chef's superb skills that it tastes so good. This time, the surrounding people were also dumbfounded. They thought to themselves, you can even tell how old the food is, whether it's male or female, and whether it's pregnant when you're eating it. This is too much. Is this still a mouth? Liao Gu nodded, then suddenly bowed at Lin Jin. This shocked everyone, especially Zhang Bailey. He couldn't understand why Master Chef Liao would treat this Lin kid like this. This shocked everyone, especially Zhang Bailey. He couldn't understand why Master Chef Liao would treat this kid with the surname Lin like this. Liao Gu thanks my young friend, Liao Gu said. If you hadn't exposed this scam, my reputation would have been ruined. At this moment, Liao Gu said, if you hadn't discovered and exposed this scam, I, Liao Gu, would have lost my reputation. Everyone understood now. Lin Jin was telling the truth. Symphony Restaurant was really using fake dishes to fool their customers. Lin Jin wasn't here to cause trouble, nor was he here to dine and dash. With this, the situation had taken a 180-degree turn. Everyone immediately pointed their finger at Symphony Restaurant. In other words, that plate of premium vinegar dragonfish was fake. Not only was it not cooked by Master Chef Liao, even the ingredients used were fake. This Symphony Restaurant is bullying its customers. How dare they do something like this? And here I thought that person was spouting nonsense. If Master Chef Liao hadn't confirmed it himself, who would have believed something like this would happen? I won't be coming back to Symphony Restaurant ever again. Seeing that he had incurred the wrath of the crowd, Zhang Bailey's face was drained of all color and his fingers were trembling. He didn't expect the tables to turn so quickly. It was so fast that he didn't even have time to react. He wanted to refute or deny it, but Master Chef Liao had confirmed it himself. Even if he said it, someone had to believe him. At the thought of the consequences, Zhang Bailey felt his head grow heavy. His eyes rolled back and he fainted on the ground. Another round of pandemonium ensued. Lin Jin was obviously satisfied with this outcome. He immediately thanked Liao Gu. Without Master Chef Liao, he wouldn't have been able to defend himself. Young friend, your culinary skills are impressive. Liao Gu should be thanking you instead. If you hadn't exposed this scam in front of everyone, my reputation would have been ruined instead. I don't have any other skills, but I've been cooking all my life, so I have a clear conscience about this. Originally, the owner of this Symphony Restaurant had some friendship with me, so I came here for a day. I didn't expect things to turn out like this. I want to make things clear to him, and I won't come here again. Liao Gu's words were resolute, and it was clear that he was very angry, because this had crossed his bottom line as a chef. Zhang Bailey, who had just been woken up by someone's pinch, happened to hear this. Blood rushed to his head in fright, and he fainted again. No one paid attention to Zhang Bailey. Liao Gu was obviously very friendly toward Lin Jin, as if he regretted not having met him earlier. As a chef, a master who had devoted his entire life to cooking, it was remarkable that someone could produce dishes to such a level. Hence, Liao Gu naturally had a good impression of Lin Jin. Brother Liao, it's been so many years, but you're still as spirited as ever. Just then, someone came over. It was master painter Gu Mengzhong. Chapter 29. Gu Mengzhong had eyes and ears, so he could see everything clearly. Initially, he had a problem with Lin Jin, but now, he realized that things weren't as he imagined. Moreover, Lin Jin had only taken a bite of the dish earlier, and he could already tell what kind of fish it was. He could even tell the gender of the fish. Gu Mengzhong was also a gourmet, but he didn't have this ability. Hence, his opinion of Lin Jin changed slightly. Master Gu, Liao Gu greeted Gu Mengzhong with a smile. Although he was known as the master chef, his social status couldn't compare to that of a master calligrapher. Gu Mengzhong quickly waved his hand. Brother Liao, you're being too polite. Liao Gu laughed and greeted him, Mengzhong. That's right. Gu Mengzhong nodded. These two were old friends. When old friends met, they naturally had a lot to talk about. Lin Jin was tactful, so he decided to take his leave. Gu Mengzhong didn't say anything. His opinion of Lin Jin had only changed slightly, but he still thought of him as an incompetent beast appraiser. However, Liao Gu said, Young friend Lin, please wait. Is there anything else, Master Liao? Lin Jin was puzzled. Liao Gu smiled. You order my dishes, but you didn't get to eat them. These 2 plates of fish are now cold. If you don't mind, you can come back to my place. I still have some ingredients. Although they're nothing fancy, they're enough for you to cook up a few side dishes. I'll still need your comments later. He was clearly trying to befriend Lin Jin. Lin Jin knew that those who could rise to the top in their industry were no ordinary people. Although Liao Gu was just a chef, the fact that he had the title of master chef proved that he was the boss of this industry. Lin Jin nodded in agreement. He immediately nodded in agreement. Only a fool would refuse to befriend such a person. Moreover, he wasn't full yet. Liao Gu was a straightforward person, and Lin Jin was no different. Surprisingly, the old and the young got along well. In comparison, Gu Mingzhong was more composed. Although he was reluctant to let Lin Jin tag along, he couldn't say anything since Liao Gu had spoken. Jia Qian, Zhang He, and the others were dumbfounded by this scene. Master Gu, this, before Jia Qian could finish, Gu Mingzhong waved his hand. I'm talking to an old friend. You guys can go back first. You don't have to follow me. Jia Qian bit her lip as she glanced at Lin Jin, who was leaving with Liao Gu, an indescribable feeling welling up inside her. She finally understood what had happened earlier. That useless Zhang Bailey had thought himself clever and done something stupid. However, she didn't expect Lin Jin to know so much about cooking. Not only did he find a loophole to mess with Zhang Bailey, but he also used it to befriend Master Chef Liao. She had always prided herself on being extraordinary, but even she did not have this kind of opportunity. On the other hand, Lin Jin had Zhao Ying and Lu Xiaoyan leave after leaving the house. He even promised to treat them again next time. Liao Gu's residence was secluded. According to him, he had bought a small courtyard after traveling to Maple City. Usually, he would buy his own ingredients, cook, and study the pinnacle of cooking, which was also very comfortable. The courtyard was not luxurious. There was only a small wooden table and a few small stools. Liao Gu brewed tea for both of them, and then went to the kitchen to prepare, leaving Lin Jin and Gu Mingzhong alone. Gu Mingzhong sat quietly by the side. Since the other party was ignoring him, Lin Jin couldn't be bothered to be snubbed. Others might want to curry favor with some master painter, but Lin Jin wasn't interested. He didn't know much about paintings, nor was he interested in them. Hence, the two of them sat across from each other in silence. It was an awkward scene. Just then, Gu Mingzhong looked up at the sky and took something out from his pocket. It was a bamboo tube about the length of a palm. It looked like a pen holder. It was obvious that Gu Mingzhong cared a lot about this item. After taking it out and placing it on the table, Lin Jin noticed that there was a beast suppression amulet stuck on the bamboo tube. The beast suppression amulet was used to suppress untamed wild beasts, including rare beasts. Also, this amulet was expensive and only the rich could afford it. As it involved pet beasts, Lin Jin was curious. After a closer look, he mused, could there be a pet beast inside this bamboo tube? That's too small. Gu Mingzhong then took out a spirit stone. Lin Jin glanced at it, an intermediate-grade spirit stone. Sure enough, he was a rich man. There's a wooden stopper on the bamboo tube. Gu Mingzhong carefully removed the stopper and quickly stuffed the spirit stone inside. The bamboo tube began to vibrate. It was as if something was trapped inside. Lin Jin could vaguely hear some faint growls. The shaking continued, and it seemed to be getting more and more intense. Gu Mingzhong's expression also became extremely solemn. At this moment, a cracking sound was heard. It was a soft sound, but to Gu Mingzhong's ears, it sounded like a clap of thunder. Sh**t. Gu Mingzhong's expression changed. He immediately took out a new beast subduing talisman and wanted to stick it on the bamboo tube. However, he was still a step too late. At this moment, the bamboo tube emitted another cracking sound, and a crack actually appeared. A blob of ink-like liquid quickly seeped out from the crack. My ink monster! Gu Mingzhong was no longer as calm and composed as before. His expression was anxious, and his facial features were contorted. It wouldn't be an exaggeration to say that he was hopping mad. The situation was clear now. Gu Mingzhong was rearing a pet beast, but this pet beast was difficult to tame. To put it bluntly, it wouldn't listen to him, and there was no way to form a blood pact with it. He could only temporarily keep it in the bamboo tube and use the beast suppression amulet to suppress it. But when he fed it the spirit stone this time, for some unknown reason, the pet beast was able to break through the beast suppression amulet and even break the bamboo tube in an attempt to escape. Gu Mingzhong was a master painter, not a cultivator nor a beast appraiser. Although he was experienced and knowledgeable, he was at a loss when faced with a situation like this. Just as he was about to stick the beast suppression amulet on the tube, it was pierced by a blob of ink that resembled a blade. Fortunately, he was quick to dodge, or else his palm might have been cut off by the ink. Gu Mingzhong's face was filled with despair. He was already at his wit's end. Seeing that the blob of ink was about to escape from the bamboo tube, a hand reached out from the side and grabbed the ink. No! Gu Mingzhong was startled. He knew how ferocious this ink monster was. If it tried to grab it, his palm would have to give up. However, he was a step too late. The hand beside him had already grabbed the blob of ink. Strangely enough, the ferocious ink monster shriveled up and condensed into a blob of jelly-like liquid. Then it was picked up by the hand. Of course, the culprit was Lin Jin. Lin Jin wasn't an expert in cooking, calligraphy, or painting. But when it came to beasts, if he claimed he was number 2, no one would dare claim to be number 1. Grabbing the ball of cold, liquid-like special beast, the Museum of Deadly Beasts immediately had a new entry. The corresponding beast specimen and stone tablet also appeared as usual. Ink monster, rare pet beast. Fluid form, violent in nature, difficult to tame. Born as a rank 3 pet beast with dual attributes of water and earth. Unformed blood contract state. Potential rate, 5. There are 3 ways to increase it. Namely, there are 5 ways to evolve it. Namely, there are 4 ways to tame a beast into a blood contract. Namely, truth be told, this was the rarest beast with the highest potential Lin Jin had ever encountered. Especially in its unique form, it was a blob of ink-like liquid. Truly, the world was vast and full of wonders. High-level ink beasts only needed the corresponding sword art to be like the flying swords of real ancient sword immortals. They could behead a person from 100 steps away. He was just so handsome and pretentious. If one were to walk the world in a long robe with the wind swirling around it and meet an evil person, and with a sword technique, the black sword would fly out and the evil person's head would roll down. The world would sing praises of her, and her name would be passed down for generations to come. This was the ultimate pursuit of scholars. Therefore, the more one was indifferent to fame and fortune, the more one wanted to be elegant and refined, the more one liked to show off. Gu Mingzhong was a scholar. Deep down, he was a man of letters. He didn't need to admit it because it was the truth. Ever since Gu Mingzhong got his hands on this ink monster, he treated it like a priceless treasure. He fed it with spirit stones every day and even visited renowned beast appraisers all over the country to find a way to tame it into a blood pact. It couldn't be helped. The rarer a species was, the harder it was to form a blood pact with it. Before this, Gu Mingzhong had tried all sorts of methods and consulted many beast appraisers. Unfortunately, he couldn't find a way to form a blood pact. A rank 3 beast appraiser gave him a solution, which was to trap the ink monster inside a jadeite steel bamboo, paste a beast suppression talisman on it, and feed it with spirit stones every day to see if he could slowly tame this ink monster's wild nature. However, after using this method for more than a month, it didn't seem to work. This time, there was an accident during feeding and the ink monster broke out of the bamboo. At that moment, Gu Mingzhong was really scared. He was afraid that the ink monster would escape. If he let this rare xenogeneic escape, it would be almost impossible to catch it again. If that happened, all the effort he had put in would go to waste. But to his surprise, Lin Jin, who he thought was an irresponsible and prejudiced person, managed to capture the ink monster at a critical moment. At this sight, Gu Mingzhong's mind went blank. Wasn't it said that the ink monster was in a liquid form and couldn't be grabbed? That it could only be stored in a special container? Wasn't it said that the ink monster had a violent temperament, and before it was tamed, it was so strong that no one could touch it? Wasn't it said that Lin Jin was a good-for-nothing from Maple City's Beast Appraisal Association, who became an official beast appraiser through sheer luck? So what was this situation now? The ink monster that even a rank 3 beast appraiser wouldn't dare to touch was now obediently being held by Lin Jin, without any signs of resistance or attack. Gu Mingzhong felt like everything he knew had been turned upside down. Either all the beast appraisers he had met before were good-for-nothings, or this Lin Jin was a skilled master beast appraiser. All these thoughts flashed through Gu Mengzhong's mind until he was awakened by Lin Jin's voice. Master Gu, Master Gu, I'm returning this to you. Lin Jin extended a hand and handed over a glob of black mucus. However, Gu Mengzhong didn't dare to take it and quickly shook his head. Lin Jin, how did you do it? Gu Mengzhong asked after snapping out his daze. He was genuinely curious. Moreover, he saw a glimmer of hope. Perhaps today, he could find a way to tame this ink monster and form a blood pact with it. Although Gu Mengzhong found it ridiculous that Lin Jin was publicly known as a good-for-nothing and was only a rank 1 beast appraiser, Gu Mengzhong was certain that his intuition was right. Lin Jin smiled shyly. Master Gu, beast taming is a basic skill for beast appraisers. It's nothing special. Basic skill? Nothing special? Gu Mengzhong's eyelids twitched. Fortunately, he had regained his composure. After giving it some thought, he realized that he had been prejudiced. He had never witnessed Lin Jin's abilities with his own eyes. He had only heard rumors about him. As the saying went, seeing is believing. Now, it seemed like his previous opinions were all wrong. Lin Jin wasn't as unbearable as others had described him to be. Things were just that amazing. Gu Mengzhong's perspective changed in an instant, and he began to reflect on himself for believing the rumors so easily. When he looked at Lin Jin again, not only did he not hate him, he even felt a tinge of admiration. Lin Jin was neither arrogant in victory nor discouraged in defeat. Gu Mengzhong asked, Appraiser Lin, do you know what this is? Test me? Lin Jin immediately recited the contents of the stone tablet in the museum. Not only did he explain the ink monster's basic information, but he also mentioned its rank, attribute, and even its origin and ancestral bloodline. It was extremely detailed. Gu Mengzhong was dumbstruck. His eyes glinted as he rubbed his hands together in excitement. Lin Jin's words were the most detailed appraisal conclusion he had heard in recent days. He had only come to Maple City to have Wang Ji take a look at it. Now, it seemed like there was no need for him to do so. Even Wang Ji wouldn't be able to appraise this monster in such detail. Now, he was absolutely certain that Lin Jin wasn't as the rumors said he was. Lin Jin was the real deal. Gu Mengzhong was a seasoned veteran, so he immediately knew that this was the result of an internal conflict within the local Beast Appraisal Association. Taking a deep breath, Gu Mengzhong asked the crucial question. Appraiser Lin, is there a way to tame this ink monster into a blood pact? Chapter 31. Gu Mengzhong felt uneasy as he asked this question. He was afraid of hearing a helpless answer. After all, he had heard this answer far too many times. Lin Jin smiled. Since it's a pet beast, of course there's a way to tame and form a blood contract with it. But halfway through his sentence, he hesitated. Upon hearing that there was a way, Gu Mengzhong couldn't hold it in any longer. With an anxious expression, he asked, What is it? Tell me. What Lin Jin wanted to say was, You can't make me do this for free. Whether it's money or something else, I have to show you something. After all, we're not related, so I can't help you form a blood contract with a pet beast for free. However, the anxious Gu Mengzhong didn't understand what Lin Jin was trying to say. Or rather, Gu Mengzhong was used to it. Usually, people were the ones begging him for help. Even if it was a beast appraisal, as long as he paid a visit to a famous master, they would be more than willing to help him without asking for a single cent. However, Lin Jin was clearly an exception. Who cared if you were a master painter or not? You should at least pay for an appraisal. In the end, Lin Jin had no choice but to shrug. The association has a rule that I'm not allowed to take on private jobs. If you want to know how to form a blood contract with a pet beast, sure. Come to the association this afternoon to register. After all, this was a normal request. Gu Mengzhong, on the other hand, was stunned. Then, he blushed as he finally understood what Lin Jin meant. To put it bluntly, Lin Jin didn't have much of a relationship with Lin Jin. It was already a favor for him to capture a pet beast that was about to escape. Moreover, Lin Jin was asking for a free appraisal. If he were to ask about a blood contract taming method, that would be too much. Although Gu Mengzhong was anxious to know the method, he was still a man of status. After some thought, he said, I have something to do this afternoon. Tomorrow, I'll definitely go to Maple City's Beast Appraisal Association and register with you. I hope Appraiser Lin will do his best to guide me on the blood contract taming method. Lin Jean mused, why is this man so stupid? Asking you to register was just a formality. You could have just given me a few hundred taels and I would have done it for you. However, Lin Jean couldn't bring himself to say it out loud, so he nodded. What about this ink monster? Lin Jean patted the head that the ink monster had formed before placing it on the table. The ink monster did not run. It obediently congregated into a puddle and continued to squirm. At this, Gumingjong was shocked once more. He said, I don't have a container and I can't control it myself. I'll leave it with Appraiser Lin for now. You can return it to me tomorrow after the evaluation. Being straightforward, Lin Jean nodded in agreement. Just then, Master Chef Liao came out with a few plates of stir-fried dishes. When he saw Lin Jean and Gu Mengzhong chatting happily, he was stunned and mumbled, they were just ignoring each other just now, and now they're chatting? The dishes are here. Lin Jean had a sharp nose, so he could smell the aroma from afar. After talking for so long, he was famished. The dishes were served. There were 3 meat dishes and 2 vegetable dishes, all of which were treasures. Liao Gu wanted to hear Lin Jin's comments, but how could Lin Jin do that? He could only comment on the ingredients used in the meat dishes. This museum had such information, but it only made Lin Jin seem inscrutable. Liao Gu was especially surprised by Lin Jin's understanding of meat. He could even learn something from Lin Jin. Gu Mengzhong no longer had the estrangement from before, and the 3 of them chatted happily. As the saying goes, strangers on the road become close friends after a glass of wine. After a meal, the 3 of them became friends despite their age difference. In terms of culinary skills, Liao Gu was unrivaled. In terms of calligraphy, Gu Mengzhong reigned supreme. As for beast appraising, Lin Jin managed to convince both Liao Gu and Gu Mengzhong in just one meal. They even developed a sense of respect for Lin Jin as a junior. For no other reason than the fact that the knowledgeable were the teachers, a scholar should be respected. Since they were now familiar with each other, Lin Jin pondered for a moment before telling Gu Mengzhong, generally speaking, to tame this ink monster, just raising it slowly isn't enough. This is especially true for a rare species like this. It has great potential and combat strength, but it also has a weakness, which is its low intellect. Normal taming methods won't work on it. Gu Mengzhong was no fool. His eyes immediately lit up. No wonder taming it didn't work. Could it be that we have to suppress it by force? Lin Jin nodded. What should we do then? Gu Mengzhong asked again. Lin Jin answered, that's a little troublesome. I wonder if Master Gu can get your hands on the blood or fur of a rank 4 fire attribute pet beast. Gu Mengzhong frowned. I can, but it'll take a long time. Lin Jin shook his head. This can't be delayed. Forget it. I'll think of something. Come to the association tomorrow and look for me. That should be enough by then. I'll need to prepare this overnight. Otherwise, I could have done it for you now. At this, Gu Mengzhong knew that Lin Jin had another idea. He was overjoyed. He had waited for so long already, so one more day was nothing. Now, his attitude toward Lin Jin improved. Sometimes, it was easy to see the difference between people. For example, Jia Qian and Zhang He, who were sent by the association to entertain him, had a very respectful attitude. However, they did not have any ability. Being overly respectful would cause others to look down on them. Moreover, they liked to speak ill of others, especially that Zhang He. At this, Gu Mengzhong glanced at Lin Jin, musing, look at Lin Jin again. Lin Jin is unfazed by honor and disgrace, unafraid of rumors. Even in this oppressive environment, he doesn't forget his original intentions and strives for perfection. Just one look, and you can tell that he's made for great things. If Lin Jin could really help him tame the ink monster, Gu Mengzhong would help Lin Jin as well. Though he didn't say it out loud, he made up his mind. If Gu Mengzhong befriended Lin Jin because of his usefulness, then Liao Gu was purely admiring him. In his words, they had taken a liking to each other. After having his fill, Gu Mingzhong gave it some thought before drawing 2 paintings on the spot. He gave one to Liao Gu and the other to Lin Jin. Lin Jin wanted to be polite, but Liao Gu said, Mingzhong's paintings are priceless outside. You can easily sell them for up to 1,000 silvers, or even several thousand silvers. At this, Lin Jin quickly accepted the painting. After saying their goodbyes, Lin Jin returned to the Beast Appraisal Association. There was still an afternoon before he had to work in his consultation hall. Who knows, maybe someone would register for his consultation in the afternoon. Inside the consultation hall, Zhao Ying and Lu Xiaoyan were studying the evaluation reports Lin Jin gave them. At the same time, they had to flip through some books on pet beast bloodlines to apply for their studies. Xiao Huo was still cultivating, but from the outside, he looked like he was sleeping on the ground. The sapphire turtle was behaving too, not moving at all. Tangan went over to take a look and nodded. This turtle actually had a powerful bloodline and great potential. It was just that Zukin didn't know how to activate this turtle's bloodline. Also, the turtle's skin was thick and its physique strong. Otherwise, it would have been poisoned to death. Upon seeing Lin Jin, the turtle stuck its head out and rubbed it against Lin Jin's hand as a gesture of affection. All right, you big guy, just stay here for a few more days. I'll bring Goldie over one day, so you can get to know each other and be friends. Lin Jin didn't care if the sapphire turtle could understand him or not, and continued nagging. Having said that, as if remembering something, Lin Jin fished out a wine gourd from his pocket. Obviously, this gourd didn't contain wine, but Gu Mingzhong's ink monster. Putting the gourd away in the cabinet, Lin Jin took out the painting Gu Mingzhong gave him and placed it on the table. Lin Jin planned to ask around at the market and see who would buy it. Of course, he wasn't going to sell it. He just wanted to confirm if this painting was really worth that much money. After taking a sip of tea, Lin Jin waited for customers to show up. However, the situation didn't improve at all. Other than the few customers he had shamelessly taken the initiative to invite, his account was basically ignored. While Lin Jin was dozing off in the afternoon, there was a commotion outside. It sounded like someone was cursing, and the voices were getting closer and closer. Just then, Lin Jin's consultation hall's door was kicked open with great force, shattering it as a person barged in angrily. Who's Lin Jin? Get your ass out here. How dare you deceive my sister? If I don't teach him a lesson today, he'll think our Lu family is a pushover. Chapter 32. Lu Yunhe, a member of Maple City's Friar Association. In today's world, the ancient path of immortality had become a lost cause. The spirit energy of heaven and earth was no longer suitable for normal immortal cultivation. Fortunately, if this path didn't work, there was another way. Blood contracts, pet beasts. For thousands of years, this had become the orthodox path of cultivation known to all. The difference between the cultivators of this era and the average person was that they cultivated blood contracts. In other words, it was a cultivation method to increase the pet beast's rank and obtain its strength. Pet beasts were merely a medium for human cultivators to obtain spirit energy from heaven and earth. Blood contracts were divided into 10 realms. Depending on the realm, one could obtain a corresponding ratio of strength. For example, Lu Yunhe, who was considered a genius in the Friar Association, had cultivated his pet beast blood contract to the 4th realm. In other words, he could obtain 40% of his pet beast strength. This improvement came from the inside out. It could even be said to be a complete rebirth, cleansing one's body. Some cultivators could easily crack boulders without the help of pet beasts, leap several feet into the air, and possess extraordinary endurance. There were also those who could use the power of the 5 elements to control fire and lightning, sprinkle soil to form walls, and exhale frost. Some people said that since one already had a blood contract with a pet beast, it was meaningless no matter how strong one was. But sometimes, when pet beasts were evenly matched, the battle would be decided by the owner's combat strength and cultivation. There were even some cultivators who could suppress another's pet beast without the help of their pet beasts. Their strength was truly astounding. The Friar Association specialized in blood contract cultivation. As one of the top members of Maple City's Friar Association's younger generation, Lu Yunhe had every right to be arrogant. He had always thought highly of himself, so when he heard that his sister, Lu Xiaoyun, had been deceived by an incompetent piece of trash in the Beast Appraisal Association with flowery words, causing her to betray Appraiser Gao and become affiliated with that swindler, he was infuriated. Hence, he brought his pet beast along to cause trouble for Lin Jin. Lu Xiaoyun, who was studying the evaluation reports, was startled. When she saw her brother, she immediately rushed over. "Brother, what are you doing?" "What am I doing?" "Xiaoyun, you've been tricked by that Lin fella. If Appraiser Gao Jiang hadn't personally written me a letter to tell me the truth, I would still be in the dark." Having said that, he looked up and saw Lin Jin sitting there. Lu Yunhe knew it was him, so he said, "Lin, don't you know what kind of person you are? Who in this Beast Appraisal Association doesn't know that you're ignorant and incompetent? You appraise beasts for others and even caused an accident. What right does a person like you have to teach disciples?" Before Lin Jin could say anything, Lu Xiaoyun panicked. Her eyes reddened as she tugged at Lu Yunhe and said, "Brother, what nonsense are you spouting? I was the one who decided to study under Appraiser Lin. Ayaya, you don't even know anything, yet you're causing trouble." It had to be said that Lu Yunhe doted on his sister very much. When he saw that there were tears in her eyes, he knew that she was really angry. He suppressed the anger in his heart and said, "Xiaoyun, don't lie to me. Did you really join us of your own accord?" Lu Xiaoyun nodded. Lin Jin added, "I never force anyone to do something they don't want to do." Lu Yunhe laughed coldly. "If that's the case, then you're even more despicable, bewitching people's hearts to benefit yourself. Let me ask you, was it you who asked my sister to secretly take away my Cloud Crane pill furnace? Furnace? Lin Jin thought about it and realized that it was true. When he needed to refine the 6 Sun Bee Soul pill, it was indeed Lu Xiaoyun who took her brother's furnace. However, Lin Jin didn't know that she had secretly taken it. Hence, he didn't deny it. Lu Yunhe asked again, "Besides the furnace, what else did you take from my sister?" Lin Jin answered honestly, "There's also a bee soul, a rank 1 superior fire spirit bee soul." What? Lu Yunhe was only trying to bluff him, but to think that he would actually get something out of him. Lu Yunhe's brows shot up in anger. "You shameless liar. My sister isn't experienced enough to be fooled by you. Today, I'll teach you a lesson and serve justice." Right now, Lu Yunhe was completely enraged. No one could stop him. Lu Xiaoyun wanted to stop him, but Lin Jin said, "Xiaoyun, your brother has the same temper as you. He won't turn back until he hits the wall. Stop trying to persuade him. Go, close the door." At this, Lu Xiaoyun was startled and froze on the spot. Lu Yunhe immediately grinned. "Are you afraid that I'll embarrass myself when I beat you up? Xiaoyun, close the door. Today, I'll show you the true colors of this useless liar." Lu Yunhe's pet beast, a lion that was rarely seen in Maple City, let out a roar as well, displaying its might in full display. Just like its owner, it was domineering and condescending. However, Lu Xiaoyun's next reaction almost made Lu Yunhe stumble. She turned to Lin Jin and said, "Appraiser Lin, my brother was just being impulsive. Please don't be angry. Give me some time, I'll talk to him." What? Lu Yunhe's eyes widened. Was there something wrong with his ears? No matter how he looked at it, it sounded like she was begging Lin Jin to spare him. Did she get wrong? Lin Jin's answer was even more infuriating. "Xiaoyun, he might not listen to anything you say now. Don't worry, he's your brother, and as your mentor, I'm considered his elder. I won't make things difficult for him. But the door is broken, so I can't close it," Lu Xiaoyun answered honestly. "Hang a curtain. We're dealing with our own conflicts. We can't let outsiders laugh at us," Lin Jin said nonchalantly. "Shut up." Lu Yunhe was enraged. He was going crazy. What the hell is this? I'm an outstanding member of the younger generation in Maple City's Friar Association. My blood contract is at the 4th realm, and my pet beast is at rank 2. Even Gao Jiang wouldn't dare to fight me head-on. Who do you think you are to look down on me? If I don't beat the SH*T out of you today, I'll write my name backwards. Lu Yunhe clenched his fists so tightly that they creaked. Having made up his mind, Lu Yunhe invoked a spell, and the lion beside him roared before pouncing at Lin Jin. Lu Yunhe's pet beast was of the wind attribute, so it was extremely fast, stirring up a strong gust of wind. However, before it could reach Lin Jin, it was stopped by a figure. It was Lin Jin's pet beast, Xiaohua, the fire wolf. Lions are ferocious and are the king of beasts. Most pet beasts would be defeated in an instant. Lu Yunhe looked confident, but what happened next made him swallow his words. He watched as a fire wolf that was a size smaller than his pet beast knocked his lion to the ground with a swipe of its paw. What's going on? Lu Yunhe thought his eyes were playing tricks on him. How could a mere fire wolf, an average pet beast, defeat his rank 2 lion? Wasn't this a joke? It's just an accident. Lu Yunhe immediately made a judgment. He knew that the fire wolf was Lin Jin's pet beast. Although he was confident in his victory, he didn't let down his guard and immediately cast a spell. Bloodthirst. This spell could be used on pet beasts to boost their strength. It was a widely used buff spell for pet beasts. The lion's body glowed red as if it was coated in a layer of blood, making it look even more ferocious. The lion that was enchanted with bloodthirst roared and charged at the fire wolf. However, what greeted it was still a wolf's paw. The fire wolf, which was clearly smaller than the lion, seemed to carry an incomparably huge force with its claw, causing the lion to fall to the ground again. Impossible! Lu Yunhe's heart thumped wildly. Refusing to give up, he cast another spell to urge his pet beast. This time, he cast 2 enhancement spells. Windbreaker Claw, Berserk. This was his trump card. Under the enhancement of the spell, the lion's body grew larger and its eyes turned bloodshot. It looked like it was about to devour someone. However, it was still knocked to the ground by the fire wolf's paw. I don't believe it. Lu Yunhe seemed to have lost his soul. He wanted to cast another spell, but Lu Xiaoyan stopped him. Brother, stop fooling around. Can't you see that Lu Ba is crying? Chapter 33. Lu Ba had the bloodline of a Gale lion, and Lu was Lu Yunhe's surname. Together, they were the names Lu Yunhe had given his pet beast. Upon hearing Lu Xiaoyan's words, Lu Yunhe took a closer look. She was right. After being knocked down by the fire wolf's 3 paws, Lu Ba no longer had his domineering aura. Instead, he looked like an aggrieved widow as he stared at Xiaohua with fear etched on his face. His large lion eyes were filled with tears. Lu Yunhe's body swayed, and he almost fell to the ground. His mind was filled with question marks. How could this be? His pet beast was a rank 2 lion. After being buffed with bloodthirst and berserk, it was practically invincible among pet beasts of the same rank. Yet, such a powerful pet beast still lost. Not only that, it was a complete and quick defeat. It was so quick that Lu Yunhe couldn't even process what had happened. He didn't know, but Lin Jin did. It would be impossible for a rank 2 to win against a rank 3. Moreover, Xiaohua wasn't an average rank 3. He had achieved this through a perfect evolution method. Also, Xiaohua had just finished cultivating the Beast Energy Formation, Part 1. This cultivation method was custom-made for pet beasts by the Museum of Deadly Beasts. In this world, there shouldn't be any beast cultivation method that could compare to it. In this way, Xiaohua, whose strength had once again increased by leaps and bounds, wanted to take down a rank 2 lion beast was a piece of cake. In fact, he didn't even need to change his size to finish it off. Yawning, Lin Jin got up and headed to the back. I'm taking a nap. Don't disturb me. Having said that, he went to sleep. As for Lu Yunhe, he would let Lu Xiaoyan make the arrangements. Speaking of which, their families' personalities were similar. Lu Xiaoyan also insisted on going against him in the past. He believed that Lu Yunhe would be the same and would soon forsake the darkness for the light. Inside the consultation hall, Zhao Ying and her pet beast were helping to prop up the broken door. The door was now covered with a large piece of cloth. Meanwhile, Lu Yunhe was in a daze. Even now, he couldn't accept the fact that he had lost to a piece of trash. Moreover, the other party was just a beast appraiser, not a member of the Friar Association. How could he lose to someone like this? His confidence began to crumble. Although Lu Xiaoyun blamed her brother for being reckless, it was not good for her to reprimand him now. Instead, she had to persuade him with kind words. It would be troublesome if he was really depressed. Brother, there were a lot of things happening yesterday, so I didn't have the time to tell you. That's why I acted on my own accord and attached myself to Appraiser Lin's side. Don't listen to the nonsense of outsiders. Appraiser Lin is a true talent. You should know about my pet beast. Look at how it is now. Lu Xiaoyun summoned her red fox over and showed it to Lu Yunhe. Lu Yunhe took a look and immediately cried out involuntarily. Rank 2? What was going on? When did the red fox evolve? Didn't they say that it was impossible to advance within a year? Could it be? Lu Yunhe's expression changed as he thought of something. Lu Xiaoyun nodded. Then, she pulled her brother to the side and slowly told him the story. The farce in hall just now came and ended quickly. In addition, Zhaoing blocked the broken door frame with a curtain in time, so the people outside had no idea what happened inside. At the door, Zhang He, who was hiding in the crowd, looked puzzled. All he saw was a furious Lu Yunhe barging in with his lion pet beast. After that, there was nothing else. He couldn't see what happened inside. With all the commotion, he couldn't hear what was going on inside. However, Zhang He had a feeling that Lin Jin wouldn't be able to get away scot-free this time. He doesn't even know what kind of person he is. How dare he try to steal someone away as if he has a death wish? And the person he stole was an apprentice under Appraiser Gao. Isn't he just asking for it? Lin Jin, Appraiser Gao can easily toy with you. Zhang He was still thinking at this moment. To him, it was normal for there to be no commotion inside. Who was Lu Yunhe? He was one of the best among the Friar Association's younger generation. The outcome should have been decided in the blink of an eye against Lin Jin. Perhaps Lin Jin had already been knocked out. It was a pity that someone had put up a curtain so he couldn't see inside. He didn't dare to go in either. It would be bad if he accidentally bumped into Lu Yunhe. After a long while, someone came out. It was Lu Yunhe. However, Lu Yunhe was no longer as angry as before. He seemed much calmer now. His pet beast lowered its head and followed beside him. Lu Xiaoyun came out too. Haha, Lu Yunhe must have dragged his sister away to apologize to Appraiser Gao. Oh, Lin Jin, let's see how you're going to face the world from now on. Zhang He slapped his thigh in excitement. However, Lu Yunhe's behavior puzzled him. Sister, I was too rash. You know how I am. I was tricked by a letter and almost caused a disaster. It's a pity that Appraiser Lin is taking an afternoon nap, and it's not good to disturb him. When he wakes up, you must tell him that I'll treat him to a meal some other day, Lu Yunhe said softly. Although he wasn't loud, Zhang He heard most of it. What? Not good to disturb Lin Jin's nap? Treat him to a meal some other day? Was this Lu Yunhe still dreaming? Was he talking nonsense? Zhang He rushed over to ask what was going on. Lu Xiaoyun nodded. Brother, it's fine. Appraiser Lin isn't that petty. Don't believe those rumors in the future. Lu Yunhe looked embarrassed. Then, he remembered something. Right, I was the one who broke this door. I'll get a craftsman to fix it later. I'll pay for it. Also, there's something I need your help with, sister. What is it? Lu Ba. I'd like Appraiser Lin to take a look at Lu Ba when he's free. At this, Zhang He felt like he had just been through hell. Lin Jin had caused a ruckus at Symphony Restaurant in the middle of the afternoon. Not only was he fine, he even befriended Master Chef Liao. In the afternoon, Zhang He thought Lu Yunhe could teach Lin Jin a lesson to vent his anger. But instead, this was the outcome. Zhang He was at a loss for what to do. Lu Xiaoyun agreed. Wasn't it just a beast appraisal? All she had to do was register. Given Lin Jin's temperament, she was more or less familiar with him now. At that moment, Lu Yunhe whispered, Sister, tell me the truth. Is Appraiser Lin's Firewolf rank 3? Lu Xiaoyun had no idea. Appraiser Lin didn't say. But even my red fox and Zhao Ying's pangolin couldn't do anything to it. I think even if it isn't, it's very close. At this, Lu Yunhe took a deep breath and clenched his fists. His eyes glinted. He was a friar who cultivated his blood contract realm. However, his pet beast's rank was the key. In order to find a way to evolve his pet beast, he was willing to pay any price. Even so, it was extremely difficult for a rank 2 pet beast to evolve to rank 3. Even in Maple City's Friar Association, rank 3 pet beasts were as rare as a phoenix feather. A rank 3 pet beast. Just the thought of it was enough to make one yearn for it. Although he didn't get a definite answer, Lu Yunhe had a feeling that the fire wolf that could knock his lion down with a single swipe of its paw was definitely more than rank 2. It might even be a rank 3. If Lin Jin could raise his own pet beast to rank 3, he must have a way to help his own pet beast evolve as well. At the thought of this, Lu Yunhe shuddered. To think that he would foolishly come looking for trouble. Fortunately, it didn't turn into a disaster. Otherwise, the consequences would be unimaginable. At the same time, his anticipation grew. He made up his mind to find an opportunity to have Appraiser Lin appraise his pet beast. I can't do it today. I'll register tomorrow. Chapter 34. In Appraiser Gao Zhang's consultation hall in the Beast Appraisal Association. What? Gao Zhang sat up from his chair and rushed over to inform Zhang He. Is what you said true? Even Lu Yunhe couldn't do anything to that, Lin Jin. It's true. I saw it with my own eyes. Appraiser Gao, I'm confused too. At first, Lu Yunhe was so aggressive that he even kicked down Lin Jin's consultation hall's door. But after that, I don't know what he did inside. When he came out, his attitude changed drastically. Not only did he stop looking for trouble with Lin Jin, he even addressed him as Appraiser Lin. I can't make sense of this either. Gao Zhang pondered for a moment before waving his hand. It's nothing much. Lu Yunhe is an impulsive person with no brains. He must have been deceived by Lin Jin's flowery words. But still, flowery words can't compare to real talent. Sooner or later, he'll be exposed. Zhang He felt like something was off, but he didn't dare to say anything. Zhang He, you used to work under Lin Jin, so you know how capable he is. If he was truly talented, you wouldn't have switched allegiances, would you? After Gao Zhang said this, Zhang He quickly nodded in agreement. Perhaps this statement had reinvigorated his confidence. He used to be Lin Jin's most trusted aide and was always by his side. Of course, he knew how capable Lin Jin was. To put simply, Lin Jin was a complete mess. There was no doubt about that. Chief Wang has submitted the document to headquarters to revoke Lin Jin's qualification as an official beast appraiser. There should be a result soon. When that time comes, Lin Jin, this black sheep, will have to pack up and leave, Zhang He suddenly said. Gao Zhang's eyes lit up. This information was clearly top secret. If that was the case, Lin Jin's days were numbered. Just then, urgent footsteps came from outside. Appraiser Gao Zhang, Chief Wang Ji is looking for you urgently. In the chief's consultation hall of the Beast Appraisal Association, the bearded Wang Ji was chatting merrily with an elderly man. Steward Zhua, you're still as heroic as ever. Now that you're highly regarded by the city lord, if the city lord is promoted in the future, you'll surely rise as well. Wang Ji regarded the elderly man with great importance. His name was Zhuo Wentong. Back in his younger days, he was a lieutenant in the military and later became Maple City's city lord's butler. In Maple City, it could be said that he was second only to one person. Squatting beside Zhuo Wentong was a big multicolored tiger. Even though it was squatting, it was almost as tall as a human. It definitely had the aura of a king of beasts. Thank you for your auspicious words, President Wang. The reason for my hasty visit today is that the city lord found some beast eggs that have been buried for hundreds of years in an ancient site this morning. I need President Wang to appraise them. After all, you are an expert in this field. Although Zhuo Wentong was old, he was full of energy and had a strong aura. He was referring to the dozen or so eggs in front of him. These eggs were of different sizes. The larger ones were comparable to winter melons, while the smaller ones were the size of fists. Furthermore, under the illumination of light, one could vaguely see liquid flowing within. Obviously, this bastard was still alive. In this world, if a blood contract was formed before a pet beast hatched, both the level of the blood contract and the pet beast potential would be enhanced. However, the prerequisite was to identify the pet beast first. Some people would say that different pet beasts' eggs must look different based on their appearance and some details. This was true, but the problem was these were no ordinary beast eggs. As the chief of Maple City's Beast Appraisal Association, Wang Ji was obviously knowledgeable. He said, according to the Encyclopedia of Beasts, by taking the primordial 5 elemental chi and the ultimate yin and yang incantation and attaching it to a magical beast egg, one can obtain a mutant beast egg. They come in different shapes, and it's difficult to see what's inside. They absorb the spiritual energy of heaven and earth, gather the essence of the sun and moon, and combine the vital energy of the 5 elements. Stewardswa, you've given me a difficult problem. While he was speaking eloquently, Wang Ji was cursing inwardly. These mutant beast eggs are extremely difficult to appraise. Don't you know that, Zwa? Why are you asking me to appraise them? How am I supposed to appraise them? Aren't you making things difficult for me? However, he couldn't say this out loud. Wang Ji was representing Maple City's city lord. Being a shrewd man, Zhuo Wentong chuckled. It's precisely because it's difficult that I came to you, Chief Wang. You should know that this batch of mutant beast eggs isn't for the city lord to enjoy alone. Prince Rong is celebrating his birthday in a few days, and the city lord plans to present them as a congratulatory gift. However, we can't just send them over like this. Wang Ji pointed out the importance of this matter and made it very clear that he knew it was difficult, so he came to you. After all, you were the chief of Maple City's Beast Appraisal Association. Wang Ji chuckled as his heart skipped a beat. Still, he stood up and went over to investigate. He felt that he might be able to find some clues, so he used a beast amulet and activated his spiritual eye. He even took out an instrument specifically for pet beast inspection. After fiddling around for half a day, Wang Ji was sweating profusely. Seeing this, Zhuo Wentong knew that this matter wouldn't be that easy. However, he had other matters to attend to, so he couldn't keep Wang Ji company. Chief Wang, leave these 11 mutant beast eggs here for now. I'll come back tomorrow morning to collect them. By then, we have to get an answer no matter what. I'm counting on you. Zhuo Wenong did a good job of shirking responsibility. Wang Ji's curses multiplied in his mind. Left with no choice, after sending Zhuo Wentong off, Wang Ji paused his work for beast appraisals. After all, this matter was clearly more important. However, he realized that his knowledge wasn't enough to complete this task. Wiping his sweat, Wang Ji had someone call Gao Jiang over. His thoughts were simple. Even if he had to take the blame, he couldn't be the only one. Thus, Gao Jiang was summoned over in a hurry. After understanding the situation, Gao Jiang cursed the old bastard inwardly. This was a hot potato. Who didn't know that mutant beast eggs were the hardest to appraise? Not to mention the fact that time was so tight. To come back tomorrow to collect them, wasn't this just toying with him? However, he had no choice. Wang Ji had dragged him into this, so he couldn't refuse. After all, he was an official beast appraiser of the association. Go, bring me the spirit water of manifestation. Bring the soul revealing mirror too. Be careful. Wang Ji and Gao Jiang didn't dare to delay. After some consideration, they knew that this evaluation would be extremely difficult, so they had to give it their all. They had some very precious beast appraisal materials and instruments in their hands. For example, the spirit water of manifestation cost 1,000 taels of gold per drop. Gao Jiang only had a little, but he had no choice but to use it this time. As for the soul-revealing mirror, it was Wang Ji's most precious instrument. This thing couldn't be exchanged for 10,000 gold. It was a gift from his mentor many years ago. A small mirror that could reflect the essence of a beast, it was very useful in beast appraisals. Now that everything was brought over, they discussed and appraised the eggs. However, they only managed to appraise 2 out of the 11 eggs by nightfall. Even so, they were exhausted and sweating profusely. Without a doubt, even if they didn't eat or drink and appraise the eggs overnight, they wouldn't be able to appraise the remaining 9 mutant eggs before dawn. This matter was definitely going to be messed up. Although the City Lord Manor would not do anything to him because of this matter, it would definitely displease the City Lord. The City Lord of Maple City had a say in the headquarters, so Wang Ji was in a bad mood at this time. Chief, There's nothing we can do about this. Every beast appraiser knows how difficult it is to appraise a mutant egg. It requires time and experience. It's already not easy for us to appraise 2 of them. At least we didn't hand in a blank paper. Gao Jiang tried to comfort him. That's right. Even if they failed, Chief Wang would have to bear the brunt of the blame. Wang Ji wiped the sweat off his forehead, his expression grim. That being said, we still didn't do a good job. Even if we managed to produce a few more eggs, it would still look good for our reputation. All right, I'll sign my name and yours on these 2 beast evaluation reports. Gao Jiang cursed inwardly. If the evaluation was wrong, he would be the scapegoat as well. But at the same time, if the evaluation was correct, he would be able to enjoy the glory as well. However, that glory wasn't possible now. After all, it would be embarrassing to only appraise 2 out of 11 mutant eggs. In short, we don't need to be meritorious, but we need to make no mistakes, Gao Jiang said. Gao Jiang said. Then he looked at the remaining mutant eggs that had not been identified and said, "What about these? It won't be right if we don't produce evaluation reports." Chapter 35. After hearing Gao Jiang's words, how could Wang Ji not understand? After all, it would be embarrassing if word got out. Just then, Gao Jiang recalled what happened today. He thought of Lu Xiaoyun, who had changed her affiliation, and had an idea. "Chief, you and I aren't the only official beast appraisers in our branch." This reminder made Wang Ji's eyes light up. "That's right. You and I aren't the only official beast appraisers here. Men, move these into the appraisal hall and get Lin Jin here." Lin Jin slept soundly in the afternoon. Since no one came to disturb him, he only woke up in the evening. After eating and drinking some tea, he went to check on the sapphire turtle and ink monster. Lin Jin realized how relaxed he was. Zhao Ying and Lu Xiaoyan had already left since the sky was getting dark. Lin Jin planned to return as well. He took out the painting Gu Mingzhong gave him from the bookshelf. He couldn't leave such a precious item in the association. He had to bring it back. With the painting in hand, Lin Jin headed out with Xiaohua. Just as he reached the entrance, he was stopped by the apprentice Wang Ji sent. In the association's appraisal hall, Wang Ji and Gao Jiang were already waiting inside. When they saw Lin Jin, their expressions darkened. Wang Ji didn't think much of Lin Jin at all. He wanted to disqualify Lin Jin and kick him out so he could recommend Jia Qian. Just the thought of that seductive vixen made Wang Ji's blood boil. He felt like he had become 10 years younger. Although he hadn't gotten intimate with her yet, once this matter was settled, he wouldn't be able to run away from what was rightfully his. As for Gao Jiang, he had only been disdainful of Lin Jin at first. But now, the latter recklessly tried to steal Lin Jin's reputation and even questioned his appraisal results. This made him very unhappy with Lin Jin. Hence, these two wouldn't give Lin Jin any face now. Lin Jin, on the other hand, was unperturbed as he came in to greet them. "Chief Wang, appraiser Gao." The two couldn't be bothered to respond. They had called Lin Jin over to make him a scapegoat. "Lin Jin, why are you so slow? When will you change your habit of procrastinating?" Wang Ji reprimanded Lin Jin as soon as he saw him. Procrastinating? Lin Jin didn't dawdle. He came as soon as he was notified. He didn't even have time to put Gu Mengzhong's painting back. "I called you here to arrange something for you. Go and appraise the 9 beast eggs over there. Remember, even if you have to stay up all night, you have to give me the results and an evaluation report by tomorrow morning." After Wang Ji finished speaking, he yawned. He was really tired today, especially in the afternoon, which was even more exhausting. "I'll head back first. What about you, appraiser Gao?" After leaving his instructions, Wang Ji turned to Gao Jiang without looking at Lin Jin. Although Gao Jiang was his subordinate, he was the young master of the Gao family in the city. He was qualified to be valued by him. "I'm going back too. There's an important dinner tonight. I can't be absent," Gao Jiang said. Both of them ignored Lin Jin and walked out of the room. Lin Jin glanced at the beast egg on the table and walked over. He wasn't an idiot. Wang Ji and Gao Jiang were putting on a show and finding an excuse to leave. After giving it some thought, Lin Jin knew there was something fishy going on. The 9 unappraised beast eggs were placed together, while the 2 appraised ones were placed on the other side. The 2 completed evaluation reports were placed there as well. Lin Jin could tell that out of 11 eggs, 2 had been appraised. As for the remaining 9, they either didn't have enough time or couldn't appraise them. When the time came, he would be able to pin the blame on them based on the signature on the evaluation reports. You 2 idiots. Do you think I'm still the old Lin Jin? Lin Jin sneered. In the past, he would never have been able to appraise an egg like this. It was inevitable that he would be the scapegoat. But now, with the Museum of Deadly Beasts, Lin Jin could defy the heavens and earth in the field of pet beasts. Now that he was the only one in the hall, it was rather quiet. He walked over and observed one of the beast eggs. To be honest, he couldn't tell much apart from the fact that it was an egg. However, the moment he touched something behind him, the Museum of Deadly Beasts immediately responded. Mutant egg, number recorded, 110. Outside the hall, Wang Ji was making arrangements for his apprentices. Prepare some gifts, antique paintings, and place them in the hall tomorrow morning. These are gifts for Stewardswa, so don't neglect them. The apprentice went to carry them out. Wang Ji knew that he wouldn't be able to do a good job at the City Lord Manor's request. After all, it wouldn't look good if he only appraised 2, so he had to give Zhuo Wentong some gifts. At the very least, he had to put in a good word for Zhuo Wentong in front of the City Lord. How could a veteran like Wang Ji not understand the ways of the world? After making the arrangements, he turned to look at the appraisal hall. With a smirk, he strode away. What he didn't know was that Lin Jin was wearing an interesting expression. Mutant egg, number recorded, 1. No doubt, to the Museum of Deadly Beasts, this was a new subject and category. Lin Jin was excited because the Museum of Deadly Beasts usually rewarded him with a new category. Just like when he first recorded 100 pet beasts, the Museum of Deadly Beasts rewarded him with elementary beast deterrence. With this reward, pet beasts below rank 3 could be tamed with a single palm strike, unless they possess special abilities. Lin Jin had experienced the effects of this technique many times, so it was a well-tested and effective tool to show off. There were also rare beasts recorded, such as the rock lizard with the earth dragon's bloodline, the rooster goldie with the golden crow's bloodline, and the ink monster. Previously, when he recorded 10 pets, he was rewarded with Beast Energy Formation Part 1. It was a cultivation method specifically for pet beasts, and upon mastering it, the pet beast could achieve rank 1 Beast Energy Refinement. As for how effective it was, one could tell from how Xiao Hua had beaten Lu Yuna's male lion to tears with 3 paws today. As more rare beasts were recorded, Lin Jin believed that as more rare beasts were recorded, Xiao Hua would be rewarded with more cultivation methods. Once Xiao Hua cultivated them, his strength would surely rise. Lin Jin also knew that one of Xiao Hua's evolution methods was to cultivate the Beast Energy Formation. Once Xiao Hua reached level 6, he could evolve into a rank 4 pet beast. Even if he didn't have enough potential, he could still achieve a breakthrough. This was the terrifying aspect of the Beast Energy Formation. This cultivation method surpassed all other known cultivation methods in an instant. If Lin Jin were to publicize it, it might trigger a revolution in pet beasts. It was clear to see that the Museum of Deadly Beast rewards were all good stuff. Now, there was a mutated egg recording progress. In other words, as long as he recorded 10 of them, he could trigger another new reward from the museum. How could Lin Jin not be excited? He was looking forward to it. The first mutated egg he touched quickly solidified into a specimen inside the museum. The stone tablet also appeared. After a closer look, Lin Jin knew it was something good. Mutated egg, rank 1, metal attribute, can be incubated into a wind-slashing mantis. There are 3 incubation conditions, which are, there's a certain chance of increasing the initial level of the egg through nourishment. There are 2 methods, which are, there are 5 methods of blood contract, which are, Lin Jin read through them one by one. The content was extremely rich, but he didn't need to write them all down. He only needed to pick one out of the dozens of combinations, and he would be able to come up with a perfect evaluation report. Without further ado, he took out a pen and paper, deliberated for a moment, and began making a copy. After he was done, he signed and stamped his seal. Then, Lin Jin reached for the second mutated egg. Chapter 36. This second mutant egg was the largest among them, about half the height of a human. Lin Jin was curious as to what would hatch from such a large egg. He reached out to touch it. The Museum of Deadly Beasts immediately prompted him to record the second mutant egg. Mutant egg, rank 2, fire attribute, can hatch a fire-scaled Tyrannosaurus. There are 2 incubation conditions for this egg, which are nourishment method. There's a certain chance to raise the initial level up to rank 3. There are 3 methods, there are 3 blood contract methods, which are, Lin Jin read through the descriptions one by one, feeling shocked beyond words. This was what a pet beast should be like. The Museum of Deadly Beasts had an amazing feature. Even if it was a beast egg, one could still see what it would look like after it hatched. Right now, Lin Jin was staring at a behemoth over 10 feet tall, with fiery scales all over its body. If this thing was properly taken care of, it would be a rank 3 pet beast upon hatching. Although forming a blood contract would be a little troublesome with complicated procedures and materials required, just imagining how terrifying it would be if it could start off as a rank 3. Also, this Tyrannosaurus potential had reached 5. What did this mean? It meant that if all went well, it could evolve into rank 5 in the future. In Maple City, rank 3 pet beasts were as rare as a phoenix's feather. So how terrifying a rank 5 pet beast would be. Even an idiot would know. Moreover, this Tyrannosaurus also had a fire dragon bloodline, which was a huge plus. Truth be told, Lin Jin would be lying if he didn't feel tempted by a pet beast of this level and potential. Forget the fact that Xiaohua couldn't compare to this creature. This one was the most impressive of all the pet beasts Lin Jin had collected so far. It would be great if he could tame it and form a blood contract with it. Lin Jin knew that he was just thinking about it. Forget the fact that this beast egg wasn't his. Even if it was, the harsh nurturing and incubation conditions were enough to make him shrink back. Roughly estimating, just incubating this thing would cost up to 1,000 spirit stones. And it wasn't just 1,000 low-grade spirit stones, but 1,000 intermediate-grade spirit stones. Lin Jin counted with his fingers. With his current salary, he would need 100 years to save up that much even if he didn't eat or drink. And this was just the cost of incubation. Once his blood contract evolved, it would be a bottomless pit. It was better to write an evaluation report. Lin Jin finished his evaluation. Of course, he had carefully considered the contents of the evaluation and chose the most common methods. After he was done, he moved on to the next one. This speed was many times faster than Wang Ji and Gao Jiang. Tier 1 Venomous Cloud Python, dual attributes of earth and wood. It's rare, but it's a pity that its potential is average. Grade 1 Gold Breaking Toucan, metal attribute, ordinary, but it can fly, so it's not bad. A Tier 2 Poison Skin Velociraptor. This is good. It's fast, but its special characteristic is a little funny. Poison skin? Does it rely on others to bite it? Rank 1 Black Armored Scorpion. Rank 1 Black Water Lizard. Lin Jin continued appraising and writing. Soon, the number of mutated eggs recorded in the museum reached 10. At this moment, the Museum of Deadly Beasts glowed with a golden light. Clouds floated in the air, and lightning could be vaguely seen. Then, thunder boomed. In the next instant, a wooden spiral staircase appeared inside the museum, connecting to the second floor. As the fog receded, a door appeared on the second floor. With a single thought, Lin Jin went up the stairs to the entrance of the museum's second floor. The second floor was obviously spacious. Everywhere else was still shrouded in fog, but because more than 10 mutated eggs had been recorded, this door was revealed. The door was made of metal with complicated patterns on it. Lin Jin was nervous, wondering what was behind this door. After some thought, since the Museum of Deadly Beasts belonged to him, there shouldn't be any danger. So, he made up his mind and pushed the door open. The door opened. Inside was a room. This room was huge and spacious. It had 2 floors, and there were 20 wooden doors on both sides of the first floor. Each door was labeled with a number, from 1 to 20. Lin Jin had no idea what this place was for. He thought it would be the same as before, where the Museum of Deadly Beasts would give him a reward. But now, he was given a room like this. However, Lin Jin soon realized something was off. Ever since he entered this room, it felt like his body had entered as well. He touched his arms and clothes, and they felt real. That's odd. Lin Jin was currently on the 2nd floor of this room. Peeking around, he noticed a wooden plaque hanging behind the door. Walking over, he took the wooden plaque down. The word curator was written on the front, while a few lines of smaller words were written on the back. Mystical magic, changes in the universe. Capable people with special talents, fated ones as guests, beasts visit the hall. Lin Jin was baffled. Suddenly, he felt a sharp pain in his finger that was holding the wooden plaque. His grip loosened, and the wooden plaque fell to the ground. When he looked at his finger again, it looked like it had been bitten by something as blood was seeping out. Lin Jin's expression darkened. Why was this wooden plaque biting him? Just then, he vaguely heard someone calling him, so he turned around and walked out. Lin Jin didn't notice that his blood had seeped into the wooden plaque under his feet. At the same time, 3 wooden doors on the 1st floor glowed with an odd light. The moment he stepped out, Lin Jin's vision changed. When he looked again, he was already in the association's Beast Appraisal Hall. An apprentice beast appraiser was looking around. Appraiser Lin? Appraiser Lin? Lin Jin coughed. I'm here. Startled, the apprentice turned to look at Lin Jin and was instantly displeased. Appraiser Lin, where did you go just now? I couldn't find you anywhere. He sounded like he was blaming Lin Jin. Since he was Chief Wang Ji's subordinate, Lin Jin couldn't be bothered to argue with him. With a straight face, he asked, Why are you looking for me? The apprentice answered, The chief asked me to be on night duty to prepare some gifts for delivery tomorrow. Also, I wanted to see if there's anything you need, Appraiser Lin. That last sentence was obviously meant to be polite. However, Lin Jin didn't hold back. I do. Beast appraising takes a lot of effort. Go and get some food and wine. I haven't had dinner yet. The apprentice cursed himself for being rude, but he could only go and prepare the food. There was food, but wine? Lin Jin, keep dreaming. Forget about not giving it to you. Even if I gave it to you, would you dare to drink it? The apprentice left to get the food. Lin Jin glanced at the table in front of him. There were some gifts, including some calligraphy and paintings. It must have been brought by that apprentice. That's odd. Didn't he see me just now? Lin Jin found it odd because his psyche had entered the Museum of Deadly Beasts, not his body. How could he not see a living person sitting here? Unless Lin Jin's heart suddenly skipped a beat. He recalled how he felt in that room earlier and the fact that the apprentice didn't see him. Unless my body really went in there. Lin Jin was a little apprehensive. If he wasn't mistaken, the visitation hall was the Museum of Deadly Beasts' new reward. However, Lin Jin had yet to figure out what it was used for. Moreover, it was strange that his real body could enter that place. Chapter 37. The apprentice reluctantly fetched some food and left after putting it down. Lin Jin was starving. He didn't mind that the food was cold. He called Xiaohua over and had him use the fire spirit to heat up the soup in the pot. As for the rest, it was fine to eat them cold. While he was at it, Lin Jin entered and appraised the remaining mutant eggs. He flipped through the evaluation reports Wang Ji and Gao Jiang had prepared and shook his head. What's written here? Lin Jin put the 2 reports back on the shelf. Although these 2 beast appraisals were written with extravagant flourishes, the contents were truly unflattering. Lin Jin obviously had his reasons for saying this. Although their reports had roughly identified the type of pet beast in the mutant eggs, the information was vague. To put it bluntly, it was a play on words. They didn't even identify the pet beast's name, let alone its bloodline. Not only was it undetermined, but the report even listed several possibilities. It said there was a 60% chance it was an insect-type pet beast and a 40% chance it was a bird type. They even listed a lot of evidence to support this conjecture. Anyway, even after reading it, Lin Jin didn't know what it was. He only had a general idea of what it was. Compared to Lin Jin's highly detailed evaluation reports, these two reports were rather crude. After some thought, Lin Jin wrote 2 more reports for these 2 mutant eggs. As for whether they would accept them or not, Lin Jin couldn't be bothered. Unbeknownst to Lin Jin, while he was eating and writing his reports, changes were happening in the Museum of Deadly Beast Strange Visitation Hall. Among the 3 glowing wooden doors, the one marked number 5 was slowly pushed open. 10 minutes earlier, Jade Dragon Kingdom, Jade Dragon City. Inside the palace, 7th Princess He Qing sat on the roof, her tiny feet dangling from the eaves as she gazed at the brightly lit Jade Dragon City beyond the palace walls with a look of yearning. Next to her was her pet beast, the tetra-winged butterfly dragon. As a daughter of the royal family, He Qing's status was incomparably noble. She never had to worry about food or clothing. Even her pet beast was carefully selected by a royal beast appraiser when she was young. The tetra-winged butterfly dragon had wings similar to a butterfly, a 4-clawed lizard body, and a hidden bloodline. It started off as a rank 2 with great potential. The more precious a pet beast was, the more time it needed to be nurtured. It had to stay with its owner for a long time and share their spiritual energy. Only then could it continue to evolve. According to the royal beast appraiser, the tetra-winged butterfly dragon would need at least another 5 years to evolve into rank 3. He Qing couldn't wait any longer. According to the royal family's requirements, descendants of the royal family had to set up their own residence and be independent. Their pet beasts must also be at least rank 3. I really want to leave this palace and explore the outside world. I want to experience the wonders of this world. He Qing said, I heard that there are many delicious snacks and all kinds of strange things happening outside. Xiao Dai, what do you think? She turned to look at her pet beast. Her exquisite facial features were like the work of a master. Despite her young age, she was already a rare beauty. Her pet beast couldn't speak, so it didn't respond. What? You said you like staying in the palace? He Qing started talking to herself. What's so good about this rundown place? I've been here for more than a decade, and I'm still not sick of it. If I could leave the palace, I'd definitely eat good food, travel the mountains and rivers, and experience the wonders of this world. Under the eaves, a few royal guards looked helpless. It was obvious that this was not the first time the 7th princess had done something like this. A palace maid shouted from below, 7th princess, it's very late. Come down quickly. Be careful not to slip. TSK, I'm very familiar with this roof. How could I possibly slip? The 7th princess wore a look of disdain. Suddenly, she saw a flash of light on her tetra-winged butterfly dragon. Almost at the same time, a crack appeared behind the tetra-winged butterfly dragon. In the blink of an eye, both her pet beast and Princess He Qing were sucked into it. The entire process was silent. None of the guards or palace maids noticed anything. The momentary feeling of weightlessness scared He Qing. Thankfully, she soon landed on the ground. In this place of endless darkness, a wooden door stood before her. A wooden sign hung above the door with the words Visitor Number 5 engraved on it. Even with her pet beast right beside her, she couldn't stop the fear from creeping up on her. Other than that, there was also shock and confusion. He Qing was so frightened that she started crying. But after calming down a little, she mustered up her courage and had her pet beast approach her. She went up to remove the wooden sign and slowly pushed the door open. Behind the door was a large hall. Although it was equally eerie, it was still a house after all. There weren't any monsters that could come out of nowhere, so He Qing quickly stepped inside. The wooden door closed behind her. Is anyone here? He Qing held her arms in front of her as her pet beast flew around her. No one answered. He looked around and exited the wooden door number 5 that he had entered from. There were a total of 20 wooden doors in the 2 rows of the hall, and each wooden door had a corresponding number on it. After calming down, He Qing immediately realized that she had been kidnapped. As a princess of the royal family, There must be many bad guys after her. Didn't the novels she secretly collected describe her like this? At this thought, her calmed heart throbbed again. Xiao Dai, the bad guys are coming. You have to protect me. Just as He Qing said that, there was a commotion at door number 7. The door was pushed open and a tall man dressed in black walked in. He Qing immediately took a step back, her muscles tensed up and her expression vigilant. The man's gaze was sharp. One glance at He Qing and the latter felt like she had fallen into an ice cave, unable to move. Even the tetra-winged butterfly dragon was trembling. Perched on a man's shoulder was a crow. The crow's eyes resembled 2 blood-red gems. What is this place? The man in black asked. As for He Qian, in his eyes, she was extremely weak. Be it her body or her pet beast, she wasn't worth a mention at all. Hence, it couldn't be this young girl who kidnapped him here. Black Crow was a top assassin. Countless people had died in his hands. With his rank 4 pet beast, Black Falcon, he could single-handedly topple and destroy some small countries. This was the power of a rank 4 pet beast. After all, some small countries didn't even have a rank 4 pet beast. The crow perched on his shoulder was his pet beast, Black Falcon. Before he was dragged into the spatial rift by a terrifying force, Black Crow was exploring an ancient immortal's cave abode with his companions. This was an immortal's cave abode from before the world's spirit energy dried up, so one could only imagine how valuable it was. The abode's interior was huge. Although some of the traps and mechanisms had lost their effectiveness due to the lack of spirit energy, it was still extremely dangerous. After spending several days, they only managed to explore a few stone chambers, probably not even 1/10 of the entire place. He was resting when a rift suddenly appeared behind him, and he was dragged in by an invisible force. This shocked Black Crow to the core. Even his rank 4 pet beast couldn't withstand it. What kind of power was this? Hence, he pushed open the wooden door and walked in. Although he was afraid and confused, Black Crow was never one to fear danger. This was the key reason he was able to come this far. In the past, many enemies who were stronger than him had died in his hands. No matter who it is, I'll let them know the consequences of messing with me. Black Crow scanned his surroundings. Chapter 38. Soon, Black Crow realized that he could only move around on this floor. The other doors couldn't be opened, and he couldn't go up to the second floor. There was an invisible force field around the wooden spiral staircase that prevented him from getting close. He Qing was still on her guard. Black Crow was giving her too much pressure. Come to think of it, other than fear, she actually felt a tinge of excitement, because she was sure that this wasn't the Jade Dragon Kingdom's palace. Her wish had finally come true. She had left the birdcage that was the palace and entered the outside world. Although the current situation was a little strange, she knew that she had to rely on herself now. He Qing, you can do it. He Qing clenched her tiny fists, cheering herself on. Once again, the dangerous man in black's gaze landed on her. He Qing immediately said, I don't know where this place is either. Just like you, I came in from door number 5. I think whoever it is that has the ability to bring us here must have a motive. Who knows, they might be spying on us from somewhere right now. Her way of survival was to divert attention. After all, He Qing was a princess, the 7th princess of the Jade Dragon Kingdom. Although she had a wild and unruly personality, she was far more intelligent than most of her peers. She had always been number 1 in strategy classes for the royal family. After calmly analyzing the situation earlier, she knew that the biggest threat wasn't the mysterious owner of this place, but the man in black. Diverting his attention was the smartest thing to do. Sure enough, Black Crow's expression changed slightly. His initial thought of interrogating the man was stifled. Instead, he retreated and leaned against the wall, waiting quietly. Smart choice, He Qing thought. With the current situation unclear, preserving her strength and observing the situation was the best option. The two didn't speak and deliberately kept their distance. They didn't know what they were waiting for, but there was nothing else they could do. After a while, there was a commotion in the room. The only metal door on the second floor creaked as it was pushed open. He Ching and Black Crow's attention was immediately drawn to it, as if they were facing a formidable enemy. Lin Jin was finally done with his work. In fact, he had only used a short amount of time. The appraisal process was so simple that it took him some time to write the evaluation report. Fortunately, it was done in about an hour. Once everything was ready, he once again entered the Museum of Deadly Beasts Visitation Hall. He wanted to know what this place was for. However, when he pushed open the door, he was startled. There was actually someone on the first floor. His first reaction was to retreat. How could there be people in the Museum of Deadly Beasts? That was impossible. However, just as Lin Jin took a step back, he stopped. Also, when Lin Jin said 3 guests were welcome, the one who reacted the most and looked the most shocked was this person. It was as if someone had discovered his secret. Perhaps to answer Lin Jin's doubts, 3 streams of light surged out from the 3 pet beasts and materialized into 3 specimens before Lin Jin. These were the detailed appraisal results of the 3 pet beasts. Clearly, if the pet beasts entered the museum, Lin Jin didn't have to touch them and they could be recorded for appraisal. There were no secrets to speak of. However, the 3 people down there acted as if they didn't see this phenomenon. Hence, Lin Jin had reason to believe that as visitors, their authority in the museum was limited. As a transmigrator, Lin Jin's ability to accept and understand certain things definitely surpassed the natives of this world. For example, he had a strong understanding of visitor authority. So far, it seemed like the visitors couldn't see the strange phenomenon in the museum. And according to the girl, there was a cloud of black mist on his face. In other words, they couldn't see what he looked like. Lin Jin was secretly delighted. In other words, no matter how surprised or happy he was right now, no one could see it. He looked at the 3 pet beasts recorded in the museum. TSK, TSK. Amazing, amazing. Not a single one of them was average. They were all rare species with hidden bloodlines. Suddenly, an idea popped into Lin Jin's mind. He lowered his voice and said, although the tetra-winged butterfly dragon is only rank 2, it has great potential. If everything goes well, it could even evolve into rank 5 or even rank 6 in a few years. But for now, it's the weakest among the 3 of you. This black falcon, on the other hand, is quite impressive. It's currently a rank 4 pet beast, the strongest among the 3. It's a pity that its potential isn't as good as the butterfly dragon. And the heterochromatic dragon, a rank 3 pet beast. Average, but its ability is quite impressive. Not only can it blend in with its surroundings, but it can also turn its owner invisible too. Now that he knew he had the upper hand, Lin Jin had no worries. He now understood the purpose of the visitation hall. At least one of its functions was to increase the number of rare beasts recorded. Of course, the visitation hall's function wasn't limited to just that. Lin Jin had purposely read out the appraisal results of the 3 pet beasts to establish his authority. Just by looking at their pet beasts, it was obvious that none of them were ordinary people. Chapter 39. These 3 people were either influential nobles or ruthless experts. Compared to them, Lin Jin was definitely inferior in every aspect. But now, they were inside his own museum, wary and fearful. When they heard Lin Jin easily reveal the results of their pet beast appraisals, their expressions were more frightening than if they had seen a ghost. Looking at the 20 wooden doors below, Lin Jin knew that since the museum had opened the visitation hall, at least 20 people from all over the world would be invited in. Just think about it. If they were allowed to bring some rare exotic beast fur, blood, or something else every time they came, the number of rare exotic beasts recorded in the museum would increase. Previously, after recording 10 rare beasts, the museum rewarded Lin Jin with part 1 of the beast weapon crafting method. Lin Jin took a look. To get part 2, he had to record more than 50 rare beasts. He was alone and weak. Moreover, he was holed up in a small place like Maple City. How long would it take for him to find 50 rare beasts? Up until now, he had recorded less than 20 rare beasts. But with this visitation hall, things would be different. These people might come from all over the world. They might even come from places thousands or even tens of thousands of miles away. They must have come into contact with more rare beasts than Lin Jin did. This time, he would give them a show of strength and intimidate them before giving them some benefits. With that, it didn't matter if they were nobles or peerless experts. They would have to submit obediently. At this thought, Lin Jin beamed brightly. Knowing that his face had long been concealed by the museum's black fog, Lin Jin's smile was unrestrained. After announcing the results of the 3 pet beasts appraisals, He Ching, Black Crow, and the invisible third person were all shocked. Needless to say, He Ching's thoughts were written all over her face. Black Crow, on the other hand, was different. He was a cold-blooded killer. He wouldn't show any expression, even if he massacred an entire country. But now, he couldn't hide the shock on his face. That was because his black falcon was enchanted with a special Dharma spell. Even if one used specialized beast appraisal methods, they would not be able to tell anything, let alone look at it with their eyes. Yet that guy on the second floor had easily revealed everything about his black falcon. This made Black Crow feel like he had been stripped naked and left hanging in the crowd. This feeling was extremely uncomfortable. If he was uncomfortable, he would be unhappy, and if he was unhappy, he would kill someone. I don't care who you are, and you don't even know who you've provoked. But don't worry, I'll make you understand the consequences of provoking the wrong person. Black Raven growled and immediately cast a spell. In an instant, his anger, arrogance, and murderous intent shattered as if a bucket of cold water had been poured over his head. He must have gone mad. He knew that the owner of this place wasn't as simple as he seemed. The fact that he was able to pull Black Crow into this place spoke volumes. Yet, he had foolishly assumed that he could use the Black Falcon to fight. Now that he thought about it, it was a foolish plan. Black Crow didn't want to die. He was an assassin who had reaped many lives. Yet, a man who didn't care for his own life was terrified of death. Black Crow's current priority was to pacify the person on the second floor. After stuttering for a long time, Black Crow made up his mind and knelt on the ground, giving an excuse that even he didn't believe. I was just joking. Please don't take it seriously. He Ching couldn't help but burst into laughter. Lin Jin wouldn't really do anything to the man. After all, he couldn't restrain or attack the man himself. He could only rely on the curator's wooden plaque to intimidate the man's pet beast. Lin Jin had a feeling that this curator's wooden plaque must have an intermediate beast deterrence effect. All right, this is the only time. There won't be a next time. Lin Jin waved his hand. As if he had just been pardoned, Black Crow got up. His arrogance and sharpness were nowhere to be seen. The Black Falcon reverted to its crow form and curled up on Black Crow's shoulder, obedient and well-behaved. Let's get down to business. Welcome to the Museum of Deadly Beasts. Here, you may ask anything about pet beasts. Remember, only pet beasts. You may ask any questions you have, and I will answer them. Of course, these answers aren't free. For every question I ask, you must provide me with the fur or blood of a rare beast. You may ask your questions now, Lin Jin said seriously. Lin Jin said with a straight face. Lin Jin waited patiently. Unhurried, Lin Jin waited patiently. He Ching looked around with her big eyes and raised her hand charmingly. What do you want to ask? Lin Jin looked at her. He Ching pointed at her pet beast and plucked a strand of fur before asking, May I know how my pet beast can evolve in the shortest time possible? This question posed no difficulty to Lin Jin at all. There were more than 4 ways for this tetra-winged butterfly dragon to evolve. Lin Jin picked the easiest one, wrote it down, and tossed it to her. He Ching picked up the paper and glanced at it. She immediately looked excited. She could tell that this evaluation report was worth tens of thousands of gold coins. Nearby, the curious Black Crow craned his neck to look at the contents of the evaluation report. Unfortunately, he couldn't see anything. However, he wasn't blind. He could tell from the girl's excited expression that this evaluation report clearly contained the true evolution method. Other than fear, Black Crow was also curious. I have one more question. Just as Lin Jean was fretting over how to answer, he felt the curator's wooden token vibrate. Looking down, he saw a new line of text. The visitation hall opens once every 7 days. Visitors can enter by presenting their wooden visitor token. There was actually an answer. Lin Jean repeated the words, and Jiang Ziki retreated, satisfied. When they entered, there was a number plate hanging on the wooden door. His was number 6. He Ching was holding number 5, so naturally, Black Crow was holding number 7. Do you have any more questions? Lin Jean wanted to record more rare beasts, so he asked considerately. Black Crow hesitated, but couldn't hold it in. After a brief discussion with the Black Falcon, Black Crow plucked out a feather and went up to ask respectfully, "Curator, may I know how my Black Falcon can evolve?" It was obvious that Black Crow was eager to help his Black Falcon evolve. He knew better than anyone how terrifying high-level pet beasts could be. He had plenty of enemies, and although a rank 4 pet beast could crush its opponents most of the time, the strongest pet beasts in this world weren't limited to rank 4. If there was a chance for his Black Falcon to evolve to rank 5, just the thought of it made Black Crow excited. However, in the past few years, Black Crow had consulted various experts and searched for various methods, but he still could not find a way to help the Black Falcon advance. This was already his greatest wish. This curator was so powerful that he could easily suppress the Black Falcon. Perhaps he could answer his question. Lin Jean had read through the information on the Black Falcon stone tablet. Truth be told, there were a few evolution methods, but they were all as difficult as ascending to heaven. After all, the Black Falcon's potential wasn't high, and it was already rank 4. Taking another step forward was obviously much more difficult than evolving a low-level pet beast. Although Lin Jean had a way, he didn't give it to the man. Since the man dared to mess around, even if Lin Jean said he wouldn't pursue the matter, that didn't mean Lin Jean would let it go. Hence, Lin Jean flicked his sleeve and said coldly, "Visitor number 7, you've used violence in the museum today. Although it's your first offense, and I'll exempt you from punishment, you still need to be punished a little. If you want the Black Falcon's evolution method, I can give it to you, but you'll have to wait until next time. Also, you must bring the fur and blood of at least 20 rare beasts, or else you can forget about getting the evolution method." Lin Jean knew that rare beasts were rare to begin with. It was too difficult for the man to collect 50 in 7 days, but 20 should be doable. By then, the number of rare beasts recorded would be close to 50. After all, the museum would only reward Lin Jean with Part 2 of the Beast Energy Formation once he reached 50. However, Lin Jean had no idea who it was, especially when he found out that many people had entered and exited the appraisal hall this morning. Lin Jin's heart sank. These people could all be thieves, but the problem was, how could they find them? Lin Jean sighed. It was his fault for being careless. If he couldn't find her, he had no one to blame but himself for being too engrossed in sculpting her face. It seemed that no matter which world you were in, being addicted to games was always a hindrance. Thinking of this, he returned to his consultation hall dejectedly. Zhao Ying and Lu Xiaoyan had arrived long ago. As usual, they were cleaning and making tea. Upon seeing Lin Jean, they went over to greet him. "I'll sleep for a while." In a foul mood, Lin Jean ran to the back room to sleep. No one would come to him for beast appraisal or treatment anyway. However, not long after he slept, someone came. Zuka didn't sleep much last night either. After all, he was worried about leaving his pet beast with Lin Jean, so he rushed over early in the morning. "Appraiser Lin, why are you so listless?" Knowing that Lin Jean was truly talented and had a way to treat his pet beast, Zukin was extremely respectful toward him. Moreover, he had secretly investigated yesterday and found out who was the culprit behind his pet beast's death. If appraiser Lin hadn't noticed that his pet beast was poisoned, Zukin might have been kept in the dark until his pet beast's death. Just based on this, Lin Jin was his benefactor. Lin Jin didn't want to talk about what happened last night. Whenever he thought about the painting he lost, his heart would bleed. He mustn't talk about it, mustn't think about it. Knowing that Zukin was here to see the sapphire turtle, Lin Jin clapped his hands and Xiao Hua chased the turtle out. The turtle was now moving swiftly, and it looked much better than yesterday. I used a secret recipe to brew a pill and fed it to it yesterday. The poison in its body is now 70 to 80% gone. If you're worried about leaving it here, I'll give you the recipe and you can find someone to brew the pill for it. It'll be back to full health in 3 days at most. Lin Jin had a good impression of Zukin. Although the man was a scion of an aristocratic family, he wasn't arrogant. Just this fact alone was impressive. Zukin was elated to see his pet beast recovering. Appraiser Lin, I'll stay here to keep it company. Lin Jin nodded, indicating that he could do as he pleased. After a while, Zukin bade him farewell without alerting Lin Jin. But in reality, Lin Jin was too troubled to sleep, so he decided not to. He picked up his brush and copied down the blood pact method for the ink monster from the museum stone tablet. Gumingzhong's ink monster was difficult to form a blood pact with. Firstly, the success rate of traditional blood pact methods was low. Secondly, this ink monster had high potential but low intelligence.